Play along. Get to the bit where it's me.
No, it's not about you. It's not about you. It's about.
It's true. It says True Geordie, my guy, and then at the end he just sort of goes, and Lawrence.
So got our own song now, mate.
You have your own song.
Well, he made out the comments that we get, so
Yeah.
a lot of views might be in there. If you search for it, it's out there.
In future, it'll be really
Shout
handy
out to that lad.
if you could post more lyrical comments. That would be great.
Yeah,
Just sort of-
something that is a bit more usable for him
Yeah.
next time, because he seemed to struggle somewhat through that. He had actually put his own comments in there, which was
not
a bit of a letdown.
Yeah, not once did he include the word liberal or cuck in the whole thing. And that's what I was really impressed by. So, congratulations, you've got a hit song.
iTunes, mate,
Yeah.
download. The thing is, we haven't really just had a podcast, just me and you, for a while.
Good point.
A lot of celebs on and all that, you know.
Nick Yaris.
I mean, a lot of people love that podcast.
Yeah.
I loved making it. Like
the chat.
it was literally, I didn't give a fuck that the cameras were on, anything like that. It was like, all right, I'm sitting next to someone special, someone different.
Thank you. Oh, right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of people have been raving about it, saying greatest podcast ever. Well done, Nick. It's like, don't forget the person who did the legwork to bring them to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
All my idea. So credit where it's due.
And then also some people putting in the comments below, how am I now supposed to click on Super Crossbar Challenge after watching this?
No, he did there was a few points where someone made a couple of comments saying, you can tell Geordie's just sitting there thinking, oh my God, like after a few things he said. He did drop a few truth bombs
but not aggressively.
No, it felt at times like I was sitting next to like Martin Luther King or someone like that kind of speaker, like such an amazing
It's quite
speaker.
inspirational.
Yeah, it was like fucking hell. Like it had an effect on us for a good week after that podcast. I remember just going around thinking, I just need to be more positive, me, like just in general.
Yeah.
It had a lasting effect.
Yeah. And then you did the hangover and you thought, fuck it.
Fuck death row, fuck all that good message shit.
Yeah.
Back to being just a know-nothing football fan.
You do sort of get sucked back in, though, to that sort of daily...
Yeah, it's hard to repeat it to yourself, like, be positive, be nice to people. Because, like, within 10 days, I found myself going back to being that arsehole.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, stop being a miserable twat and drag yourself out of bed, will you? But I think it's one of those podcasts that I'm going to re-listen to a few times, and I'm really proud of that, actually.
Yeah. Well, you should be. He was a really lovely guy as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, a few people were like, was that just the way he was when he was on camera? But literally, he's always like that. It's not an act at all. He was like that the whole fucking time.
Yeah. It's been interesting to see the contrast of guests over the last few weeks.
Yeah, we had KSI on. That was different as well.
KSI was definitely different.
To be fair, people don't realise, like, he's actually one of the nicest blokes, like, off camera as well, like, so sound.
I like to think we started what ultimately was a complete blackout on social media.
we really should go blackout as well. If anyone doesn't know, like, KSI and the Sidemen that blacked out their Twitter.
Everything out.
They're going through a transformation of sorts. He did an interview on Keemstar's channel, basically just saying, I'm sick of the bullshit of YouTube, and I'm done doing things that I'm not proud of. I want to do things that make me happy.
Sure.
In a roundabout way, he kind of got that message across. And fair play to him. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does do, because it's clear, like, as he said on our podcast, it's a character to a degree that he's been playing, and he wants to do stuff that's more true to himself.
Yeah, it's quite a weird one, isn't it? Because it is. It's also that I think a lot of people think of you as a YouTuber. If you're a YouTuber, you're a fully formed product, and you're just that. That's all you are. And then at any point, he's going through this change. I don't know. He's 20 something now. He's going through similar changes. Most people just go through those changes off camera.
Yeah, and he's obviously doing it but now he's in a position where it's different to most YouTubers. Most YouTubers, if they're in a character or a gimmick, they have to stick to that because that's what pays the bills. He's now gone beyond that, where he doesn't have to be anything he doesn't want to be, and he's like, fuck it, I'll just do who I am.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with that.
And the rest of the Sidemen.
mainly him.
Looking forward to seeing how those guys change up their act.
Yeah, and if they do ever trial the putting a sperm into a cup and shoving it up a woman, they make that video, I want some of the fucking revenue because I thought of it first.
Even just a tenth would make you a millionaire. So if we could just get a tenth of the revenue for Geordie. Also, I mean, KSI. We had KSI on the podcast. How'd you peak after that? You've peaked essentially.
No, but you go in a different direction.
No, this was great. We've had a great run. What we want to say is we're just ending the podcast here, draw a line in the sand, and that's it.
We're going to black out with Twitter.
Just back to nothing. Yeah. How would you feel if we just stopped the podcast here and just said, we had a great run, that was fine?
You're frightening us now because this is I've sort of hedged my bets on this, that this is going to take off.
Fuck.
Yeah. I'm actually thinking about getting one of those things, where they can donate and have more podcasts made for them. So maybe we could do that.
That's actually a really good idea. If you would pay for this podcast, just let us know in the comments below how much roughly you'd be willing to pay. just a sort of a reasonable figure, sort of $75 to $100 per podcast.
I'm not saying everyone will have to pay. I'm saying they can donate if they like to help me be in a position to pay.
Like that thing that Hugh Wizzy does where it says, buy me a coffee. And then you click it and it goes like, oh, I bought Hugh a coffee for £3. And you think, it's actually $3.20 for a latte in London now. So have you really paid a full coffee? That's what I think.
You're so fucking mental. Anyway, we've got a few suggestions for things to talk about today.
Excellent.
And one of the suggestions, and I'm thinking I might give this a go, because what I'm trying to do
veganism
is I'm definitely not giving that a go.
Yeah.
Ever.
Not what you said off camera.
I'm never giving that a go.
I feel like this year your goal should be to merge the person you are off camera and that sort of camp holistic guy with the man you are on camera.
Well, that's Bri.
Yeah.
I saved those.
You've done that video too since the last time it was just us.
Because obviously I'm trying to get the younger generation in, and obviously a lot of the girls.
Tricked them.
So just be a bit more sensitive to their needs. Do you know what I mean? Get a dog.
How many people do you think you did trick into subscribing to you as a vlogger? And then the next time they saw their subscription box, they went, oh no.
Probably quite a few, I reckon.
Yeah.
We got a few views on that. People enjoyed it. Made me acting debut. Or I did it. Who knows? Maybe this is an act.
That's a good point.
They'll never know. They
might one day, ultimately, when the book/breakdown happens.
The book, yeah, definitely going to happen. I've actually got some stuff to say about my life, so a little bit better than most of the YouTubers releasing books.
Yeah.
In all fairness,
still some blank pages there.
Some people have said about interviewing, I want to get better at that. The thing
is a weak spot for you.
People don't understand that. They sometimes compare me to these podcasters like Joe Rogan. He's on his 920th podcast.
Quit.
He's done this a lot. Not quit.
Oh, why?
I'm not quitting.
Right.
Anyway, he's done a lot. He's done a lot. He's obviously going to be very good. And people are holding me to that standard. And I'm like, look, he's the godfather of podcasting. I'm not there yet. I might never get there. Going to try.
Good luck.
But I want to get better at interviewing and asking the questions. So some people are saying that we should learn about your life in today's episode.
Oh, is that what you want to do today?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I didn't realise. Well, the unfortunate thing is we don't have enough time. So should we just do part one of my life now?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Are you interested?
What, in my own life?
I mean, I am. I think it's kind of it's a crime that we've asked all of these people, some more interested than others, about their lives, and I haven't even asked you about yours. They've heard about the dive game. I still keep some things in the dark about mine, because like you say, the book deal, save the juicy stuff for that.
Best to.
But
what was Deppelaugh's really like?
Can we talk about... actually, we went for a pint with him afterwards. Good
He was
lad.
a lovely guy. Really nice. Not the evil person that most people paint.
Yeah.
Myself,
so do you want to talk about your life? Is that
yeah,
okay?
sure. You can ask me whatever you want. Let's treat this as an exercise. You can use me as a sounding board for whatever
I want to improve
my
interviewing skills. So obviously we'll start at the beginning. Were you...
I was born.
When you were a kid, as far back as you can remember, were you that sarcastic, narcissistic arsehole that you developed into from day one? Or was that something that just happened over time?
Sure. I think putting someone on the back foot immediately probably isn't the way to go in an interview. Unless I'm sort of Jeremy
Just let
Hunt.
us go with it and we can evaluate afterwards how I did.
Right, okay. I was always a very chatty, outgoing kid. People always met me and sort of were like, "Oh, he's a one, isn't he? What a character."
I imagine you to be the kind of kid who would have just as much conversation with adults as you would kids your own age.
More, if anything. If I go to a party, the adults are going, "Go and have a chat with the kids," and I'm going, yeah, but I'm thinking more about the Labour policy of, and they're going, right.
I can imagine you being the one, like, go and sit at the kids' table. This is Christmas Day.
Yeah.
The adults sit here, the kids sit over there, and you're being like, I'm not going over there. I'm not going to go over there.
And I turn to him and
I don't want to listen to what they've got
Mark,
to say.
I'm not sitting with those children anymore, right? I want the conversation over here.
Were you a bit like that?
I just grew up around more adults because I was an only child. So I just sort of, I was always around adult chat and stuff and was intelligent enough to keep up. Or what I
Sometimes
thought was
too intelligent.
Yeah, sometimes I would be progressing the conversation. Somebody would say, slow down, we're not on for
Did you ever feel like people were a bit annoyed by the fact that you thought you were a little bit more grown up than what you actually were?
I was one of those kids that was blissfully unaware that I might be annoying adults at any point. You know what I mean? So, and still probably am to some extent, Like
to some extent.
To some extent, not at all. I was a very chatty kid. Always loved chatting with adults. I always wanted to be a radio DJ. One of my big things was to be a radio DJ when I was a kid.
Why? Was that your first dream?
I think it was a dream job.
What was it about it that turned you on? Not sexually.
Not a kid. I think it was just such a big part of my life as a child that we always had the radio on. So there was always a radio.
Was there a radio DJ that inspired you?
Quite a few. There were loads. Mum used to listen to Radio 4. Dad just used to listen to music. And so I liked Dad's music and Mum's radio.
And what kind of music did Dad listen to?
Do you know a band called Squeeze?
No, I don't. What were they like?
They were sort of like guitar stuff. They did Cool for Cats. Did they do Cool for Cats? I think they did Cool for Cats.
I've heard that one.
Yeah, and a few other songs. And he also liked, Billy Joel, Van Morrison, those sort of guys. The kind of classic 70s and 80s artists. It was a great upbringing on music. And then I'm from Liverpool, so it was all Beatles when I was a kid.
Did you envisage that you were going to be the DJ that made everyone laugh, or were you going to be a bit more serious and critical?
I don't think as a kid you ever really go for the serious but I mean, a few of my friends will definitely tell you if you came to my house, the games we'd be playing were making a TV show or making a radio show.
Yeah.
So if you came to my house and I'd been watching The Big Breakfast that morning, we were making The Big Breakfast.
And we're doing my own version, but only better.
Yeah. And so what we would literally...
So you were Chris Evans?
I'd be like Johnny Vaughan or Chris Evans. One
Johnny
or the other.
Vaughan was definitely a lot funnier in my opinion.
Yeah.
He actually used to crack me up back in the day.
He was funny. Was funny. And so...
He's still working now. Actually, I was on his podcast or radio. He had a radio show on TalkSport a few years back.
Did you go on it?
Yeah, he asked me on it, yeah.
When you were
Geordie here.
Yeah.
He's a vlogger, and he said it like so patronising.
Yeah. Because he is a bit of a sarky arsehole anyway. Yeah.
He asked was but I just took the time to get my opinions out on Newcastle there and then just bolted. That was it.
We've got Brian here. Brian, welcome back to the show. How you doing, Brian?
He's a vlogger.
Yeah, he's a vlogger.
Yeah.
And
so you were inspired by TV from day one. So you always
TV and radio.
You wanted to entertain people.
When I went to bed at night, I'd listen to Heart FM. Now, Heart FM is now Capital if you live in England, and you can probably get it around the world. And so my dream as a kid was to get a Heart FM show at about 10 o'clock till 1 a.m.
So basically...
That's the love hour. That's the love time. I'd go to sleep.
Capital FM was your dream job.
Because when I was a kid, it was like, wow, you get to listen to music and just chat in between. And it sounds like so much fun. And so you just listen to it and it'd be like, that song was for Mark there. Mark wants to say hi to Cheryl. Cheryl's off in Kidderminster, and Cheryl wants to say hi to Mark. She wants to send him a big kiss through the night. This one's for you. It's Marvin Gaye. Get up, get up, get up, get up.
And would you ever think of how people were receiving the songs and that?
Yeah.
And what they were up to?
Do you know what we used to do before my school in the morning is I practically call once a week to the local breakfast show and go, can you play a song for my mum? And then we'd be sitting in the car and listen, and they go, that one's for...
And you'd think, I got you.
Oh my God, this is great. It's Backstreet Boys or something.
I remember I actually, there was a big popular radio show in the Northeast called The Night Owls. And it was run by a bloke called Alan Robson on The Night Owls. And he used to play from 10 till 2 a.m. And I, as a teenager, the hormones are raging. I mean, literally, I can't fucking sleep, mate. I'm on Grand Theft Auto 3. I've got the headphones in. I'm listening to that. And I'm just robbing people, killing people, obviously, in the game.
Yeah. Sometimes not.
And he was known for being into like ghosts and shit, and like
it's the perfect time.
I think it was Chillingham Castle and things. He'd go there, and he would like, I'm walking through the castle, but it was a great show.
Do this, I'm going to take you on a journey around the castle. Yeah. You're listening, and he's. You can tell it's him in his producing room being a bit piss takey with the local old woman who thinks there are ghosts.
Yeah.
And so they sort of go along. They go, "We've got Jill here. Jill, you say you've seen a ghost in the castle. You're going to take us to the room where you think you saw the ghost." And they go, "Call now if you've seen a ghost." And there's all these mentals at about 1 a.m. going, "I've seen a ghost. I'll call him." And it's the best time. See, and then
get everyone with bipolar just picking the phone up.
All the insomniacs and basically mental people call in, and that's why it's the best radio show.
No, I loved it, and it's a shame that they haven't been in touch with me to support what I'm doing now. But you know, I've had very little support from the Northeast media. So
very little. I mean, you went viral. That was probably what pissed them off.
Where's the surprise? But yeah, I used to love doing that myself. So
just a tip. Ask more questions.
Yeah, I'm making it about me now.
Yeah.
So, out of your mum and dad, when you were younger, you said that they separated. Was that when you were really young?
No, I said they separated a little while ago. But
I remember that.
Yeah. I was like 4.
All right, so
I think I was 4 when they finally separated. Wasn't really. I was aware of it, and I was sort of like, and I was told it was sad. Do you know what I mean?
But you
I was
didn't
a bit like,
know it was sad.
I was a bit like, oh, that's okay. You know, like, well, if it is what it is.
Mm-hmm. So did you?
Well, we're all adults here, and then
we're all adults here. I mean, and then you turn to your mum and dad and go, "I think it's best for both of you."
I think it's best for all 3 of us if you 2 break up. I'm unhappy as well. I just want you both to know I'm thinking of moving out.
My comment is, I'm just surprised it took you this long.
Yeah, exactly. No, they were both, and you know what? They were both very nice to each other. It wasn't really like a horrible divorce or anything.
Did you stay with mum or dad?
Stay with mum because dad didn't move straight out into a house, and also I think that they worked out that it was better if I did live with, you know, they say there's a good time to live with your mum and a good time to live with your dad. I think when you're younger, it's probably better to live with your mum, and then as you get a little bit older, as a boy, you grow a bit closer to your dad for a while.
Boys in the Hood. Classic.
Sure.
That's what happens in that.
And so then when I was like 16, I moved out and lived with my dad for a little while and then went to university.
Do you think that sort of helped you in, like you say, becoming a man? Do you think that's good to have a dad at that age to help you?
I think my dad was actually really, like, if I can give one piece of advice to dads or any parent from like a child's side, I think it's not to tell your kid what to do, but sort of be there when they do make their mistakes, so that you can sort of be there and sort of be like, oh, well, what are you going to do about that?
Look left and right before crossing the road.
Yeah, which is very different.
In which case, do tell them.
But then as a modern adult, I was helping dad cross the road. So,
Fuck off.
No. He was a really good dad. He is a really good dad, yeah. So we would go and do, you know, on the weekends, I'd see him on like a Tuesday night. We'd go see him. We'd go swimming. We'd go, you know, to the movies, all those sorts of things.
So you got a lot of memories then?
Oh, yeah, great memories.
Good.
Dad and I would always go on holiday.
That's one of my regrets about life is... yeah, I'm making it about myself again.
No,
we're just talking.
It's relatable.
The one thing that I feel like is a bit of a regret about my upbringing, because my mum and dad were separated, but like I did still get to see my dad. I mean, there was periods of time where I didn't for whatever reason, but like memories wise, we never did anything, like ever.
Yeah.
Like we just never, like I never kicked the ball. We never went to football. I never went to the movies. We never went swimming. Hardly did anything ever. Never went on holiday. I've got literally no memories with them at all. The only memories I've got is sitting on the fucking couch or something.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean? So I think do shit with your kids, because when your brain's in the formative years, events are what you remember. You tend not to remember just sitting on the couch.
You also take great meaning from those events.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? So your
like,
brain is like, wow, this is amazing.
He's giving me this, or she's giving me that. You know?
Yeah.
That's why presents really seem to stick out in kids' minds as well. Like,
yeah, weirdly, because now, presents do stick out in my mind.
Presents don't really mean anything to me now
presents.
that I can afford to buy myself things. But at that age, when you have to wait for this day and you think in 2 months it's Christmas, that's when I'm going to get it.
And I'm going to mum going, are we budgeting for this PlayStation? Or I wasn't that kind of child.
You were obviously always you don't ever strike me as the type of bloke who likes being told what to do. You like being in control. So
Even as a kid.
Did that frustrate you as a kid when you had to relinquish control and be told at times, no, you're not doing that?
I think I would always give control to Dad because he's got quite a fatherly figure, so I was quite happy with that.
You mean he's a natural dad?
Yeah, I was quite easy with my parents. But then my first ever school report in primary school, the teacher's first thing they said was Lawrence is 7 going on 40.
Yeah.
I was the only kid in the classroom that understood what sarcasm was, and so when a teacher was sarcastic to a kid, I turned around to him in the class and I just sort of went, that was a bit sarcastic, and she literally went, what? And I was like,
you know what sarcasm is?
That was sarcastic. You really shouldn't be. And so that was quite, for me, that was like really great because it was like a superpower in a way as a kid. Being able to be sarcastic or understand that is like a bloody superpower to a kid, because you can say something and the other kid's like, what? And you're like, see ya. And then you're out the room. That was the thing for me, was we grew up, I think one thing I definitely owe to my family, or both sides of them, even though they're divorced, was the comedy side of things. Like, they had great taste in comedy. So I grew up with like Monty Python.
What was your favourite Monty Python? Did you like The Life of Brian by any chance?
I didn't like any of the movies. There's actually something which isn't so... I mean, I liked...
Never mind.
I liked the movies, but my favourite one... So I love The Life of Brian. I love those. I love watching those as a kid.
Yeah.
And we'd watch those, and then I'd just try and make people laugh by repeating those lines.
Of course.
And Fawlty Towers was amazing. That wasn't Monty Python, but it was John Cleese. And then there's one called How to Irritate People, which is basically...
Did you write that, did you?
I think... You know what? I did take a lot from that as a kid, and there's just some great lines in it where it's like how to really irritate the hell out. And I watched that maybe 10 times.
Fucking hell.
I just watched it.
What was in it? Like, what kind of things can you remember?
There was a sketch about a car guy who keeps so essentially there's this guy who he's bought a car from the dealer. He then goes back to the dealer and says the car's broken. And in order to annoy him, the dealer always says, well, like I say, bring her in, we'll have a look. And he's like, well, I have brought her in and we are having a look. And the guy's like, well, I don't have any time now. And he just keeps going round in this long circle.
Yeah.
And then there's John...
It's like you when I ask you to edit something for us then.
Sure. Yeah.
Exactly
and I just and I say, well, like I say, send it over, I'll have a look and I'll get it back to you. And you're like, well, I have sent it over and now you are having a look.
It's exactly like that.
And so, and it's basically, and then, what else was... And then John Cleese was just really rude to people. And so I picked up this and then just started to not be rude, but just be really straightforward with people. And it got me into so many great situations. Like, I once ended up for some reason on the stage of my town hall dressed as the mayor. Whatever. Just because the mayor had given me a tour of the town hall and I'd gone, he's shown me a picture of him and I was like, where are your robes? And he was like, oh, I don't wear them in this picture. And I was like, well, you're not a real mayor then. Like, you're only a mayor of the town if you have the robes. So he, like, in front of the whole town, he like brought me up and was like, oh, now you can be the mayor. And I was like, sick. I'm standing there like full mayor.
I remember when I was...
I've thrown you.
When I was younger and I first heard about The Life of Brian, I was like 8 years old and someone like, oh, Life of Brian, you'd love that. It's about you. And I'm like, oh, but I watch this then. And I was really young to be watching The Life of Brian because there's like a lot of nudity.
There's nudity. There's also a lot of like complex political things in there which are still relevant now, like the People's Front of Judea and stuff.
It's obviously a parody of they've taken the story of the Bible and just twisted it. And like basically when baby Jesus is about to be born, a few doors down there's a baby boy called Brian.
Yeah.
And the 3 wise men are there and they get the wrong house.
Yeah.
And then they come back, slap the mother and take back the gold, frankincense and myrrh. And it just basically goes from there. It's absolutely insane.
It's incredible.
It's one of my favourite films ever. Even the song at the start, Brian, the babe they call Brian.
Do you sometimes just play that in your car?
Sometimes I'm thinking about having that as the new outro music but we've already got True Geordie
is my guy.
So
yeah, which is in many ways as sarcastic.
It's pretty much. But I love that film. If you haven't seen Monty Python, Life of Brian, you have to watch it.
And The Meaning of Life. And just go through the whole series.
But Life of Brian's the best. I just want to say that right now.
It is the best movie. It's considered the best movie. That and The Meaning of Life are two.
Blessed are the cheesemakers.
Yeah. And also where he takes his sandal off. There's so many good bits where it's like, he's taken his sandal off. We must all take our sandal off. And you're like, it's just so...
It makes you think, though, because, like, so basically they were the first comedians to really push the boundaries. Like, that happens so often now, but it was unheard of back then. I mean,
religiously, at least.
You weren't allowed... I'm pretty sure it was banned from cinemas at points. And
yeah, or people tried to get it banned. And the weird thing was, as well, and that's what I really loved about it, because actually as a kid, I remember from a very young age being like, I don't believe in God. It just didn't make any sense.
So that happened to you at a young age? You just never believed?
Yeah, I was really good at paying lip service, but I remember...
Did you go to a religious school?
In secondary, yeah, but in primary, no. But in primary school, the teacher in my first year was the same one who was sarcastic. She gave a whole assembly about how footballers shouldn't hug. And I remember, like, as a kid, I was I was a shit, but not like in a sort of like I'll hit you way, like, no, I don't agree with that. So midway through her assembly, she basically said it was homosexual to hug another man in the moment, but in a really sort of veiled way. And all the kids were like, yeah. And I remember other kids sitting around me and being like, that's a bit weird. She doesn't watch football. She was like, so other men should not hug men. And I just went, and she was like, and I was considered a good child. But I remember this moment is, I went, I don't agree with that. I think men should be able to hug men. And she went, stand up. And I had to stand up in front of everyone. She went, Lawrence, I'm very disappointed. And I had to stand.
Mental,
I had to stand up for the whole assembly, basically because I didn't agree with her homophobia.
There's nothing. It's not like they're fucking wanking each other off.
And even if you don't know what happens, behind closed doors, you don't know what's happened. You don't know what hugging might lead to more. It says a lot about her, though, because women don't. It's normally men who are the ones to have a major issue with homosexuals, right? Because they threaten them.
Yeah, well, no, it's just it's usually men who are a little bit. Oh God, that's a bit much. Not even that they hate gay people; they're just a bit frightened. Like, oh, this is a bit much. Like,
it's different.
Do you know, like
it's a bit much.
No, but like I've met some like proper hard nosed, like 50-plus-year-old men who, like, if you hug them, they have to pat you on the back.
Yeah,
you gotta have the old pat on the back because you gotta let each other know. Like,
otherwise, you might be butt fucking at midnight.
This is a straight hug. Do you know? So there's men out there who are a little bit uncomfortable with it, but it's very rare that you see a woman be uncomfortable. And if they do, they never like put themselves out there in the middle of a fucking assembly going, "Don't hug other men." She was obviously an absolute psychopath.
Well, I remember I got home and I told my mum, and mum went, well done.
Well, yeah.
But no one else, like everyone else at school was sort of like, I remember as we filed out of assembly, everyone was like, ooh, you've done something wrong. But she couldn't punish me, because if she punished me for it, it would have been, essentially she made me stand up, but there was no one else around.
But the fact that she even was ignorant enough to come out with it is absolutely mental.
I mean, she's got a point. Hugging other men in public could lead to, you don't know what's happening behind closed doors when two men in public.
Spooning leads to forking.
Yeah, and
they say.
And that forking leads to possible sin.
Actually,
you can admire another man.
I'm surprised that we haven't had more like footballers and stars of what would be classed as heterosexual sports, like MMA and things like that.
All of them, really.
Come out as gay, because it's literally like. All right, if I don't know what the statistics are, but you're guaranteeing if you're watching a game of football, there's probably one man on the team on either side who's gay.
There's definitely there's definitely men in the Premier League who are
without a fucking doubt, mate. Without a doubt.
I hope so.
But I think we're now living in an age where it still requires a lot of strength and a lot of balls, no pun intended, to come out and say, "Yeah, I'm gay."
Yeah.
Right. I thought we would have had it by now. I thought we would have had it. Definitely. I mean, Bri might say something, but I thought we would have had it by now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's surprising that it is still in sport such a. Oh God.
I think it's just.
I think people would rally around that now. We're in an age where people would support whoever came out.
I think maybe privately people do, but I think publicly some people don't, because maybe some people aren't ready for that.
Maybe we might say a footballer retire in the next few years and then do it when he doesn't have to play in front of the crowds and take as much shit. Do you know what I mean?
It would take real bravery to do that. Yeah. Because it's also something which people can just reject, and kind of, it could make team dynamics difficult. Not that it should, but I'm saying it could.
When you were a kid, were you aware of what a gay person was.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
So
yeah.
you knew
yeah.
all of that, did you?
Yeah,
Because
we knew.
I remember when I was once, I was watching. It was one of those Australian soaps that my grandparents used to watch, Home and Away, Our Neighbours, and I think it was Toadie. Do you remember?
That's
do you remember
yeah.
Toadie? And
Toadie wasn't gay.
He comes out and, anyways, he says to one of his parents, "I'm gay," and I remember just watching, and I thought I might have been about 8 years old, and I'm like, well, what the fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
And I look at my granda and the whole and the whole like family are there, and I go, because my granda to me was like the fountain of knowledge. He knew everything. Do you know what I mean? Granda, what does gay mean? Because like I'm like I could tell by the reaction of everyone on the show that he dropped like a bollock,
the G-bomb,
and this is a big thing, and I'm like, what does that mean? And my granda bottled it completely, and he goes, just means very happy, son.
Yeah, exactly.
and I looked and I thought, and in my head I thought, well, I don't know why everyone's so shocked about that then.
Exactly.
And he totally bottled it. But if he just said, it's just a boy who likes other boys and he doesn't like girls or whatever. Do you know
but
what
then
I mean?
that leads to you going, why, Grandad? And then he's like,
and then it's,
because some people are born...
to be honest, I think I would have understood that and probably not questioned it much more. But if I'd been a young man like you would have wanted to know the far end of a fart and which way it blew, wouldn't you?
I mean, that's probably just the worst way you could phrase that. But I do remember saying to my parents, what do lesbians do?
And what do gay people do in general?
What do gay people do? Because
but Dad, the lesbians, I want to know what they do more.
I wasn't... Let me show
son,
you.
I've got the DVD collection out.
They answered, and it was... but if you do it very matter of fact, it doesn't seem to matter.
What did they say, just out of interest?
I think...
fisting?
No, because my mum was a sexual health nurse, so...
the lad behind the camera when I said fisting. Just like
looked up. My mum was a sexual health nurse, so I've just got to say this, from a very young age, if I had a day off school and I had to go to work with one of my parents, if I went to school with my dad or I went to the clinic with my mum, I would almost be like that thing that was the reminder of, don't have a child. I would give out condoms to teenagers in a bag. I'm not even joking.
The fact that you did that is so mad, but like it makes total sense to me. I can totally imagine you, because you on this podcast you are essentially the voice of reason in a lot of people's opinion.
Can I just say that wasn't independent? Mum did say I didn't sort of go somewhere and go to Mum, I think we should bag up some condoms and give them to those teenagers. There were people coming into the sexual health clinic.
And she turned around and goes, if you say so, I mean, you're the boss.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever you want, Jesus. And then I would sort of walk. You
in your mind you were. No, but you were doing someone help.
I didn't really know. I knew what I was doing, but you don't really have any idea what a condom really does. Like,
so at what age did you understand what sex was? Can you remember that day?
Really young, like before I went to school.
Really?
Other parents would send their kids to our house to have it explained.
All right, so you'd heard the explanation that many times, and if anything, overhearing it.
Yeah, like other parents would be like, well, why don't we have a little chat with Lawrence while he's come round for dinner? And Lawrence, what do you think? And then I'd be like, oh, fine. And then tell them.
See, I understood you'd pop a knob up a woman.
Sure, all right, Keith.
But when I was like, I don't know, even like 10 years old, I knew that that's what happened, but I couldn't work it out. Like I couldn't really understand it. Do you know what I mean? And I understood the science of it.
Yeah, like I knew all the logistics, but I didn't understand why.
I didn't remember to spit on my hand and rub it on her first.
No,
I didn't know any of that.
No, to be honest, if you are a parent and you're telling your kid to do that, there's something wrong with you, all right?
Oh, fucking hell.
Well, first of all, Daddy spits on his hand, and then... Why is Daddy spitting on his hand? Well, there's often the need for some sort of lubrication for... Why? Well, it's just that it needs to be able to slip into a very small, sometimes larger, sometimes tight, though. And then the kid's like, why? And you're like, it's just, you'll get it one day. And what you'll understand is you will make it happen no matter what.
Faucets.
Now, I love you, son. Good night.
Deep inside.
But that's the thing is, you don't get it as a kid because you're sort of like, well, why girls are... Why would you...
I remember from an early age, not understanding sex or having sexual feelings, but there was always that thing about girls. Like,
yeah, I guess I sort of had that as well. Like when I went to nursery, I was always like quite, out there with people. So I think people always thought I was like a bit of a wee.
I can imagine you having more friends who are girls than what a boy like me would have done. I think you would have mixed in both circles.
Oh, definitely mixed in both circles.
And not have been bothered. Whereas
very
with me, it was very much like, I don't talk to girls. I go out, I play football every dinner time, and then I look at the girls. And then, because when they like, you know, when girls would do that thing to get attention in that way, they'd like do handstands against the walls and stuff, and you'd look at them, but I wouldn't talk to them that much.
What is that?
And I remember when I was younger, there was a girl who a lot of the other boys like didn't really liked. And I kind of liked her.
What was wrong with you? Why?
I tend to just, I don't know, it's like the girls that you shouldn't like, I guess.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yep.
But anyway, this girl, there was nothing, she turned out to be a very good looking girl. There was nothing wrong with her, but for whatever reason, the boys had taken a dislike to her. So you couldn't go against the lads.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? When you're a young lad. So I had to like discreetly be like, all right. And it's like, and then I remember one day I'm sitting on a table just like this with her, and we're doing my work, and I'm like, and I noticed she was next to us, and I'm like, oh, she's there. And like, I'm starting to think about, and then I thought, how do I like tell her I like her without actually like making it too obvious?
Hit her in the face.
And this was like, I wasn't in high school, so I wasn't even 11 yet. I must have been about 9 or 10. And I just sort of moved closer, and I just rubbed my leg up against her leg.
Great. Early sexual harassment.
And then she looked at us and she went, and then I just pulled my leg back, and I'm like, I don't know if I've got the green light here. I don't know what's happening. I'm in over my head. I'm in way over my head. What am I doing? So I'm like, just do it again. She didn't freak out. She definitely reacted a little bit. What was that? But she didn't freak out. So let's just test the waters. So I put my knee up against her, and then I just rub it up and down, and then she looks at us and she smiled, and I thought, he's done it! He's nailed it! Yes! And then after that, we sort of started talking after school, like walking home together, and then when I was in assembly with them, we have to listen to all that bullshit that they spill out. I'd sit next to her, but I'd still not want the lads to know I'd crossed over to the dark side. So I would sort of like cross my legs as you would, and then put one of my hands through like a hole in like, you know, like in between your legs, there's like a little, and then hold a hand.
Brilliant.
So like, yeah, and then we ended up kissing or whatever.
And was she okay with you secretly holding her hand?
Yeah. I mean, I was just a man of mystery from day one. Do you know what I mean? So it was
very
accepted.
Piers Brosnan-esque.
It was accepted, and she turned into a very leggy lady. Actually, she must have been about 5'9", 5'10", actually, when she was fully formed.
Yeah.
But I went to a different high school there. So then when I seen her on a night out when I was like 20, I was like, oh,
good to see you.
Fancy rubbing legs?
Yeah. Did she?
What? Did she get a go on the old big lad?
No, did you rub legs?
No, she had a boyfriend that was a bit, so I was like, it's fine.
Yeah. See you around, don't want any of that mess.
No worries.
Yeah. We could secretly hold hands for a while. I'll cross my legs and you sort of slip your hand underneath.
I think if she tried anything sexual, I wouldn't have known what the fuck to do.
At the age of 10?
I wouldn't have had a clue. But I'm just saying, like, even when it's explained to you, oh, right, this is what happens, you don't really understand it until you've done it, I suppose.
Until you're like, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose porn's really helping things out with the teenage lads, though.
We were of the wrong generation for that, essentially, because
fucking missed the
dial-up internet was so slow that you'd almost be like, well, it's not worth it.
I thank God, though, in a way, because my expectations for what sex was going to be like, don't get us wrong.
Or kept to a realistic minimum.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, there was porn around and there was internet and that, but it wasn't like it is now, where it's like literally as easy as possible to get. Like back then, you get a 30-second clip you'd have to wait a good 10 minutes for, and
sure.
you'd make
you
that
could go make a cup of tea or something in between.
You'd really want to squeeze every last drop out of that 30 seconds. But now
on QuickTime Player.
But I heard recently that like girls now, because girls are obviously also watching porn before they have sex,
and credit to them.
Yeah, because people don't want to go in sex,
and
to them it's like, yeah, you get to see what actually happens before you do it. It's going to be a little less worrying.
Yeah, so you're going to have a middle-aged man approach you on a couch and then try and make out with you for about half an hour. That's what sex is.
Stay away from plumbers, obviously.
Yeah, and pizza delivery boys and TV license men and other office co-workers.
But I heard now, because of that, like when girls are of legal age, let's maintain that, they're a lot more open-minded because they have been exposed to all of this as well.
Sure. Which isn't the worst thing for anyone, really.
Yeah, open-minded women all the way forward.
There's also things like, I think many TV shows sort of help with that. So there's like Sex and the City and Gossip Girl. I don't know any other
I used
names.
to have a crush on one of the women out there. You know, Samantha, the dirty one.
She was my least favourite.
Yeah, she was a total slut.
She really annoyed me. She really annoyed me.
She just literally wanted a dick a day, that lass.
Yeah. Because I was sort of like...
I used to think, I'll tell you what, she would bring me up to speed. You know, when I was young.
Probably, yeah.
She would have rode me into the fucking sunset.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. And then, but I was always more into the other storylines. Yeah. I think I related more to another one.
Looks-wise, out of the four of them, Charlotte, the brunette, hands down.
Was she the one who was Jewish?
She went with a Jewish fella, right?
Sure. That was quite a sweet relationship, I thought. I quite liked that as a relationship. It was very nice.
I don't really remember that. I just remember thinking...
I remember I didn't really like whoever... we probably just lost... Everyone's just gone, fucking turn this shit
Fucking
off.
hell, mate. What's going on?
I liked Mr. Big and then Burger.
So, when you were younger...
Yeah.
What TV shows were you into? What entertainment were you into?
TV shows. I liked Saturday morning TV. Every teenager likes Saturday morning TV. At that point.
I remember being addicted to Soccer AM.
I don't mean like that.
I used to love Soccer AM.
I liked Tim Lovejoy at the time. I remember being like,
when Lovejoy was on it, I mean, obviously it's gone to rat shit since then, but
he was, when Lovejoy was at his peak, the peak of his powers, he was the man to be in England.
No, people don't understand. So like, I used to look at Tim Lovejoy, and I mean, I wasn't like you. I never thought I would ever end up in entertainment of any form, because I knew the only way to do it was on TV, and no one's given this cunt a job on television.
Yeah.
But he had the dream job. He was the face of like Saturday morning football. He would bring out the girls in their little fucking tight football shirts, make all the jokes. The lads laughed at him.
Whatever the joke, no matter how good or bad the joke was, Tim Lovejoy would get the laugh.
Because to be fair to him, he had comic timing and he could sell it. And
he had lad comic timing.
Yeah, he was the first lad of TV, the TV really world, wasn't he? One of the first lads.
One of the first cool lads. One of the first lads you could be like, I want to be like that.
I want to go out on the piss with that cunt.
Yeah. And now, I don't want to go anywhere near him.
Really? Why not?
He's written some really weird stuff.
Yeah?
Have you read his autobiography?
No.
It's pretty weird.
I know he was really unhappy with the way things were going at Soccer AM, and that's why he fucked off.
Yeah. I mean, I think he sort of saw that ship. He saw the iceberg of...
he was the first one.
Yeah, and he went, I think I'm going to get in a dinghy. Yeah. And they went, why? And he went, see ya!
And now it's just like literally, do you know the end bit where Jack and Rose are just holding on the bars just before it goes out? That's Helen Chamberlain.
Yeah.
And what's the other lad?
Yeah.
Tubes or whatever?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Can I get on the door?
Just holding on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should go to the bottom
just while the money's still floating around.
Yeah. Which there is still money floating around.
I mean, that's exactly why. Jobs for the lads.
So I liked TV. I just liked TV in general. I was always sort of fascinated with TV and film, but especially radio, because radio was also very readily accessible. So I went and did like hospital radio.
Yeah, you've talked about this a few times, haven't you?
It was a passion which, like, I remember seeing
short-lived.
No, I did it for 5 years.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Because what you talk about is this: you just went in one day and then they sacked you 2 weeks later.
So what happened was we went to the hospital radio. My best friend from home, and I, Daniel, went.
Ex-best friend.
My best friend. So this guy from home, and I we both sort of shared. We were just really good friends. Like,
why?
Because from the second we met, we never had a fight. We were never.
The way you say best friend, you don't just say, "Oh, he's my best mate." You go, "My best friend."
Yeah, because he is. Because he's like. Because we just got on straight away. Because we were like we sort of appreciated what the other one did and had, and kind of like he wanted to be a bit like me, and I wanted to be a bit like him. He was really good at football.
So nothing like me and you then.
No, if anything, like we're like the yin and yang of what that relationship is. Do you know what I mean? And so we were best friends for years. And then one day I went, I want to go and do hospital radio, and I think it'd be really good if you came too. Mm-hmm. And so, and he was like, yeah, I was thinking about hospital radio. So we both went down to hospital radio.
Did we just become best friends?
Did we again? And so we went down to hospital radio, and it was full of people over the age of 50 who were all just sort of doing something that they thought of as charity. And so we burst in and sort of like, what can we do? And all of them were like, oh, shit.
People with energy and enthusiasm.
People with it.
How annoying.
Some of them embraced it.
Yeah.
One guy called John Hannaford Smith was
I can see why you remember that name.
He was a classic sort of 60 to 65-year-old man. All he wanted to do was do exactly what hospital radio is made for. Go and get the requests from the patients and play them so they had the music they wanted. By the way, this music was not being played on an audio system. This music was being piped to the hospital by like a wire. And then around the hospital, I don't know why, they had a system of tubes which took the sound. So what you got were two tubes, not like headphones, tubes with like cotton wool on the end, and you put them in your ears.
Unbelievable.
No wonder nobody fucking listens. All right?
Yeah.
Because if I went to hospital, I'd go, why are you making me put these in my ears? I've got an iPod, a phone, and a TV in the corner. I don't need these people playing me music. We saw this as an opportunity because if no one's listening, you can make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, you can capitalize on that.
Yeah,
and you did.
Capital. So we burst in, and like Chris Moyles and like all these big Radio 1 DJs were our heroes, and their heroes were like, you know, radio DJs.
It's annoying though because they've all sort of gone by the wayside now, and the new breed has come in.
Yep.
Us, but what happens is the fat cats, all those twats who are in those jobs, aren't prepared to get out the way and give people like me and you a chance, so we don't get the call. We have to do it ourselves and pay for our own fucking studio time.
Or find someone who's going to fund that.
Fucking annoying.
So when we went in, we took a list of ideas, and some of these ideas were good, and some of these ideas were bad. And
it's amazing to see how enthusiastic you were.
I was like, what else? Like,
because you're not like that, and like the thing is, you get a lot of ideas, and you're a very creative bloke. One of the most creative blokes I ever met, right?
Many.
But you're a cynic now, and then you weren't a cynic by the sounds of it. You were so hopeful.
I was sort of cynical. I'm still eternally hopeful about stuff. You know that I'm always hopeful.
You're more of a cynic now than you were then, without a doubt. I can tell by the way you're telling the story. This isn't what you would do now.
Battle hardened. So I walked in, and there was a woman called Julie. I won't say her second name just for sort of anonymity. I don't
think anyone's going to go and fucking search her down. She
had the prime time slot on a Friday night.
Oh, you hated her.
Everyone. No, I liked her, but everyone
you wanted that slot.
Wanted Julie Frank's slot. Julie. 8 till 10 on a Friday night. Now, bear in mind, I'm 15 at this point. Most of the people in school are going out and getting pissed in a park on a Friday night.
Yeah.
I'm going to...
You've got bigger fish to fry.
I've got bigger fish to fry. It's time to go practice on the ones and twos.
You're forging a career.
At hospital radio. This is the point where you can...
I can imagine everyone going to, Lawrence, you're coming... We've got the cider. One of the bigger kids has managed to get a keg. It's going to be great. We're going to have a party tonight.
It's the middle of summer, Lawrence.
And you're going, I've got a gig. Got a gig tonight.
Gig.
You DJing? Yeah.
In a way.
Whereabouts? You know.
Do you know the Queen's Road? Yeah, where the hospital is. Yeah, very close. Sort of just around the corner from there. Yeah, what is it? It's a gig that I've got
it's big time.
It's in a car park. You wouldn't be able to get in.
They got security there.
They do actually.
Yeah, the electric doors and everything.
They actually do. And so I had to take a pass from the hospital. Yeah. So there were two.
were you flashing the pass?
Yeah, going in. When you see around.
Did you like act like you were a fucking doctor? Like, yeah, I'm just here, Dr. Dre.
We did park in the same car park as the doctors. So essentially, we have the same status as any of those surgeons.
I mean, everyone's important as each other. We all make this hospital run.
Well, one of our ideas when we first went down, which was in retrospect a terrible / probably what a YouTuber would do now idea. In fact, a lot of these ideas now are basically what I see happening on YouTube. So it's like fluffy bunnies and those sorts of things. Yeah. When we went down to hospital radio, those ideas are not welcome. So we went down and we went, Julie, we could do the weather. And she's like, they're all sitting in hospital. Why would we do the weather? And you're like, sure. We could do this, And we went through all our ideas. And her answer to every one of those was, maybe next week.
Did she rule with an iron fist?
No, she was just sort of, I think what she thought was, I can make this as boring as possible for these guys so they just won't come back. Yeah. But what she didn't realise was I have an incredible resilience.
Yes, you do.
And when she so the second week we went in, we walked in and her face was almost gleeful when we walked in. It was like she'd been excited to see us. And I was like, this is brilliant. This is Julie. Julie's like a 40-year-old woman at this point. Anyway, We
Julie
walk
Frank.
in, Daniel and I walk in, and that's my best friend. And we walk in and we're like, oh, this is going to be great. We're going to have a really good time. And then we walk in and she goes, we need to have a chat before you go into the studio this week. We're not sure that we should let you in the studio just yet because we've had a few complaints.
Oh my God,
And
so
we
she'd
were-
be desperate to tell you this.
And we were like,
I know what I'll do. I'll tell him there's been complaints.
yeah, what about Julie? And John Hannaford-Smith sitting next to her, just sort of like completely quiet, silent. He's not said a word. He's just standing there just going, yeah. And she's going, we've had a few complaints that they, the young voices on the station were a little bit too boisterous for the... And Daniel and I are sitting there going, oh my God, this is... Oh God, we're...
I can act older. I can sound...
Yeah.
Wait there. Just let us... Oh no, I'll be like this next time.
And we remember, and we went, oh no. And she was like, so we think it's... I mean, why don't you try another radio station? And we were like... And I was like, oh, is my career over? This is the end. Julie, this is it. Like, and she's like, just don't come back here. And you're like... Okay, she's like, so I think it's best you go home this week. And we didn't want to go back to our parents and go, like, we'd been dropped off 10 minutes earlier.
And
we
you've
didn't want to go back to
obviously
our parents and go, they've let us go.
knowing how you were as a young man, you were obviously buzzing about this and probably, and I know you, when you get your hands on an idea, you do not shut up about it.
I was so excited.
So you will have been telling your
Everyone.
mum and dad,
Yeah.
everyone who listen,
Yeah.
this radio show, it's going to be big.
It's going to be, what
be
it
huge.
was a really great place.
You wait. We're on hospital radio now. Capital will come calling.
I'm not joking. I still get great pleasure when I
then-
listen to mainstream songs, and when the music plays out at the end, I think about what I'd say at the end of it leading out.
Do you? But that's now our one of our associates' friends' jobs now. Isn't it?
Roman Kemp.
Yeah, Roman.
Yeah.
If your dad had been in EastEnders, you might have got the job.
Good point. Or in
Unfortunate.
Spandau Ballet.
Either
Or if I'd have been a decent enough mainstream presenter.
Well, to be honest, all you
Roman's
need,
on
judging
ITV2
by it,
now.
no offence to Roman, is a good agent.
You do need a good agent. You're right.
That's one thing I'm learning a lot about YouTube. I've seen a lot of people getting amazing things, and I'm like, have you watched his content?
Yeah.
Good agents are everything.
And also, just having someone who's young and malleable enough and just sort of being like...
A sponge.
Yeah, essentially, someone who just soaks everything up.
Tell you what, I know this is totally irrelevant, but I had a really weird moment this morning. Got a taxi to the train station, and I gets in the car, plunks my bag down, and the driver goes... And I can hear he's like pissed off about something.
Another Muslim.
And I wouldn't care, you know. He did have a moan about them
right,
later
really?
on.
Okay, there you
Anyway, he turns around to us and he goes, "Where you going?" I went, "Oh, Central Station." He went, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" And I went, "What?" He went, "There's roadworks going on before that, and I've just noticed you're paying by card as well, so that means I'll not get that cash for another 2 weeks. I'm having a bad one today." And I'm like, I felt like I literally, if it wasn't for the fact that I was late for the train, I would have grabbed my bag and went, "Fuck off, mate, will you?"
Yeah.
Fuck off.
This is his job.
Yeah. Literally.
I don't get when cab drivers go to you, I've had a terrible day. I've had loads of terrible people in the back of this car. You're like, you realise that your job is essentially to take strangers from A to B.
Yeah.
Maybe even C.
He was moaning about the card service, and I'm like, I'm going to London, mate. You better get used to it because it's fucking taking over down there, and everything that happens down there will come here
Down
about
there.
10 years' time.
Down there.
Doing there.
You never guess what they got down there. Yeah, you can pay with your watch.
Yeah, you can't believe it. But anyway,
Yeah.
so you take over on the radio. You eventually, at what point did you decide?
Julie left, by the way. So what she was gutted when we turned up the week after, going, "We can change. You can train us to get to the way that you want." Her face, I'm still in my mind now, just going, "Fuck's sake!" Like literally looking at me and being like, "Why?"
She
are
wanted
you
that
here?
Friday slot.
Well, what
Did you?
happened was we go down at 6 until 10 o'clock. We do 2 hours with John,
God,
who
you
is a
really
lovely
do
old man.
remember it.
Who is a lovely old man who just sort of be like, "That request there was for Stacey, who's on Ward 3. Stacey, you went for baby love or something."
Get well soon, Stacey.
Yeah, some of them were maternity wards, so it was more like that's for her newborn baby or whatever. Anyway, and so we'd be what we did.
That was raining blood for Stacey.
I'm not joking. There were songs you couldn't play, so you couldn't play like Frank Sinatra, "My Way" or things like that, because that's a song to die to.
Yeah.
And then there were people who would come down. I had the best fun in sometimes what was good was trying to avoid phrases which sounded like you were talking about death or anything ending. So sometimes what was good about Julie was I was quite quick with her, and sometimes she'd go, "I'm just dying to play." So one week she went, "I'm just dying to play our quiz this week," and I would just go, we had to grab the mics because everyone but Julie had to share a mic, and I just went, not literally, of course, Julie. We're all happy in this studio and well, aren't we? And she was like, yes. I mean, I just want to say, I'm not literally dying. And I was like, yes, Julie, not literally. And that was good. It was great fun.
At what point, right, so you finish your GCSEs, you get really good results, obviously, brain box.
Great GCSEs, shit A-levels, but yeah.
All right, you did your A-levels. At what point did you decide, I'm going to be a director? I mean, where did that come from?
That's a really good question, actually. By the way, so what I would say about the hospital radio thing is a lot of people message me, I guess they message you as well, and say, what's your piece of advice for anyone who wants to get into this?
I mean, I wanted to do that at the end.
Okay, I mean, but my piece of advice based on
jumped the gun a bit.
My piece of advice based on the hospital radio thing is, it doesn't matter if your YouTube channel is big or not right now. Just keep doing it and keep crafting at it, and you'll be all right.
That's not actually true though, because I know a YouTuber who I've like sort of watched for a long time and is very enthusiastic.
Yeah, Will Any.
It's definitely not Will. Very enthusiastic lad. And
Hugh.
I'm no man.
Oh.
Fucking hell, stop it. You don't know this kid, actually. I've never even mentioned it to you.
I thought we were best friends.
No, Dan's your best friend.
Right, no, good point. Daniel.
So I've watched this kid for a long time, and God bless him, he really is. He always uploads, he's always trying. And I must have sat him down about 20 times and explained, if you do this and do that. But he just can't seem to do it anyone else's way other than his own. And let's just say 4 years in the game or whatever, because he's been going at it for a long time, at least 3 years anyway, and he's just getting nowhere.
Jack, it's all right. You will get a big
Jack?
Jack, mate.
It's not Jack. He's stupid. Anyway, no, but there's a lad who's been doing it for a long time. So sometimes you have to realise maybe this isn't right for you, and you've got another calling in life.
No, what I'm essentially saying is hospital radio was never my end goal, but radio was. So the experience of doing that was good because it made me think. I was sitting there thinking. Do you know what I mean?
We haven't been offered a radio show yet. It's a
don't yawn when someone else is telling their life story. Don't yawn all your way through it.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just a little bit tired. I was up early this morning to get the taxi.
Yeah. Fucking taxi.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Then.
So where the fuck did directing come from?
I wanted to. One thing I should also say is one good thing about my dad was he had a video camera. That makes dads great. So everyone has an iPhone now.
That's the thing I do remember. We got some good home movies, which if I ever hit 1 million subscribers,
you will release.
I will release.
Really?
So normally people say nudes at 1 million.
Yeah.
I'm saying me singing very sad songs as a 6-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Really badly.
Yeah.
And also saying some of the drones I'm doing and stuff like that.
Brilliant.
I'll release those, and I'll release some other stuff that people haven't seen.
Then
at 1 million.
If I ever hit 1 million, if I ever hit 10 million, then I've got films that were made using action men. I mean, as the stars.
No. Anyway, I'd like to say that, but no.
Yeah.
So where the fuck did directing come from?
I wanted to go and do economics at university. Sure, economics in Manchester. I loved money.
Sounds so boring.
It was. I didn't go. And so one of Dad's friends who runs a big company and himself is a millionaire sat me down in a pub and said, "Don't do economics, Lawrence. That's boring. Economics is boring." Again,
just what I said.
Economics is boring, right? You are someone who one day can pay someone who's studied economics to do the money bit for your business. Go out there and do something that's good. Go and do something in media. Go and do something where you direct or something like that. And I was like, yeah, I'll do that. So I decided to apply for some courses in media because that was what people told me to do at the time. And it was a good idea. And I went to Goldsmiths and did media. And Goldsmiths is a predominantly, well, actually very famously liberal college. It's also a college which...
A liberal cuck. As they say.
The thing is, if you said that at Goldsmiths, they'd be like, brilliant, that's a great, we'll write an essay on that. Like, they could probably go into your comments and any YouTuber's comments and write sort of whole social theory.
So, all right.
All right.
At what point, though, was it directing specifically that grabbed you by the balls, though? Like, what? Because, to be honest, there's a few people who've said to me, Lawrence is very good in front of the camera. I'm surprised he makes a living behind the camera and he didn't just want to be... Because you are a talker, and you can obviously present and do all that. What is it about... I guess, as your friend, I think that what you might like about it is the fact that you get to have a vision and then help everyone else understand that vision and make that vision a reality? Is that what you get? Do you enjoy that?
To some extent, I think I like the movie making process, or like the video making process. I like to work out how a shot's going to be done and those sort of things. I think that's quite fun, you know? And then it's also sort of, it is just a fun job. Like it is.
But it is hard work as well. I've seen you work very hard. You work a lot of hours. You work all fucking day. What is the golden nugget out of all of that for you? Is it when you see the end result and you think, I made that? Or
No. Although that is quite satisfying, but I really enjoy is working out ways of showing people something new. So the sort of like educating someone, or like expressing something that maybe other people or I've not seen before. Do you know what I mean? And trying to work out how to tell someone something. I don't care so much about the story. Like that's what.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I would be more of a storyteller. I like that part of it. If I was you, I'd get out of that.
What?
I'd get it out of that.
I don't think I do. I think I enjoy the story side, but I enjoy the telling of it more, like the structure of it more, and what that sort of inherently has within it, which is quite interesting. So the structure of things really fascinates me, and I think that says way more than whatever is. I think the stuff that floats in between the structure, you could keep the structure broadly similar in many times in history, and what floats in between that will probably be, you'll be able to match those things up. They're very similar.
All right, you're talking a bit in riddles right now for the average folk. Because I'm listening to you, and I've worked with you, and even I'm a bit like, I'm not sure what the fuck is going on.
So what I'm saying is, the medium is the message, right? So if you... What
does that even mean as well, man? Just speak in English, man.
Well, I'd rather you worked it out for yourself.
No, don't talk in riddles. Just tell me what do you enjoy about directing, Lawrence?
I like the structure of things and putting things together.
Structure of what things?
The structure of a story, or the structure of a movie.
Structure in what way? Do you mean like going from scene to scene, or?
So the way that you tell a story, there's a lot of ways in crafting a story, right? So you can have...
Have you ever seen that 70s show?
Yeah.
All right. So you know the main guy who came out of it.
Yeah.
Who ended up
Ashton Kutcher.
Right. There's a point where he does work with your dad day.
Yeah.
And he asks his dad like what he does for a job.
Yeah.
And his dad tries to explain it to him about 100 times, and by the end he goes to the school and he's like, he's a farmer.
Yeah.
and that's kind of what I'm feeling.
That's what you should say
right now about you, like the structure of things. Do you mean scenes?
No. So although the structure of a scene can express something within it, and I think you've got. I think most people like the surface analysis of a movie is this story is about a man and a woman, and these two people fall in love. But it's about how you tell that story of someone falling in love, which is just as important, if not more important, than the actual story of love itself.
So are there any movies that you've seen that really sort of inspired this?
Fight Club is just an incredible film because I think it's an inspired piece of storytelling in the first place, because what it does is it messes. I really love those films that mess with the way you see things, your perception. So for most of the film, you're like, oh, this guy's seeing it from his own perspective. This guy's completely normal. If anything, this guy's just going through a breakdown. And then it completely flips it at the end of the film when you realise what Tyler is.
A little bit like The Sixth Sense in that
Sixth Sense, but then I found Sixth Sense less.
Or the others.
The reason I think Fight Club really spoke to me as well was because it's like a zeitgeist film. It's one for the men of that time.
Yeah.
It's like men don't have many films that you watch as a modern day man and think, that represents something that I'm feeling. And I think I was watching Fight Club at the time being like,
I'm a fighter.
I'm not a fighter, but like I am in that sense. I related to the lead character, who was sort of like, he was a bit of a pussy. He cared a little bit more about like his job and those sort of things, and he felt he wanted something, but he didn't know how to get there. And so I like that, and I think you're still, and that's why I like people like Casey and those other people, because the structures of their stories. Casey Neistat.
He's just done a video recently. Did you see that one?
I thought it was good. The Can't one.
Yeah. I like that.
It was a classic of his. It's another one of his classic storytelling, not storytelling, but like idea.
There's a few people, I basically put a tweet out just saying, someone asked us who he was the other day, and before I could even think of the answer, I just said the daddy of YouTube. Yeah. Because I didn't know how, it just came rolled off the tongue. And yeah, he is. And some people were like, well, what about this YouTuber and that YouTuber? Comparable in views. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't understand. Casey has things that I would be proud of to have made.
Yeah.
Most other YouTubers don't. No offense to other YouTubers. It's just he makes things that are pretty epic and pretty special. And to be honest, I don't think he's the most amazing speaker. Like, it's not like he's Nick Yaris or someone like that, but what he is able to achieve with what he knows and his personality is pretty impressive.
In many ways, I think he is like a Nick, like his equivalent of Nick is that he's learned to tell the story through the camera and not through necessarily just what he says.
That's what I'm saying.
And so, yeah.
And I'm... One thing I'm passionate about since I got into this podcast game, and one thing I want to do, because I was like a football ranter, as people like said I was to start off with.
You were.
Still a bit like that. I'm still a passionate football fan, but I really enjoy having people on here and asking them. It's like a puzzle of I'm asking them the right questions to get the best out of them and to get the best answers out of them. And I think like we have got the best out of people on this show. Like we play our part and we help them as best we can. And he is a great storyteller, Casey. I appreciate that about him.
I think he's a great story and also idea, as someone who's able to get an idea across, and that's something I really like. And he's worked, and the way I found
as fuck, like.
The way I found Casey was a few years ago. Do you remember the film Catfish? Have you ever seen the film Catfish?
Yeah.
It's a great film.
They obviously made it into a TV series as well.
They made it into a TV series, and that sort of trivialised it a little bit. The original film, I suppose the problem is if you've seen the TV series, you'll know what happens in the film. But the film is still a great film. Yeah, it's really good.
By Neve.
But it's by Ariel Schulman and Henry Joost, but and those guys went on to make other films and Paranormal Activity and stuff. Anyway, those guys have got a really good profile on something called the Creators Project. And there's one line that always gets me about that, which is a really good one. And they sort of say, what they essentially know is that you don't need really expensive cameras. You don't need like a massive movie rig or anything, though that will help sometimes.
Yeah.
If a story has heart and like the piece has a good structure to it, and you can still see the integrity of that piece, then it doesn't matter what the cameras are. You can still tell a great story.
Well, we were just saying that before I come on the podcast that, I mean, I've only just bought my first proper camera for YouTube. I haven't even used it yet. We're at 381,000 subscribers as I sit here right now. And I've only ever, apart from the podcast, which is these guys bringing their own cameras, on my own videos, I've only ever used an iPad or an iPhone. Just worked out how to key with a green screen out, and that was it. But like, you only need that really for YouTube, you know.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you.
It's good if you can do more. If you got more, brilliant. But I'm just saying, like, personality shines through, doesn't it, on YouTube?
I think it's also working out what you can do with your resources, and I think there's something really satisfying about that, like working out with your budget what you can achieve and how you can squeeze the most out of everything you've got. And I think
I've certainly done that.
But what I'm saying is I think I really enjoy working with you for that reason, because I think, you know, like when you and I first met, you were at a point where you were at your peak of your ranting powers, or like the powers that you know.
Newcastle were about to get relegated, and I was just always pissed off about that. So every video, it wasn't a deliberate thing where I was like, oh, if I do a rant today, that'll bring the views in. It was just a case of I want to give an accurate representation of how Newcastle are feeling, like as fans, and how I'm feeling, and that was what was going on. And that
was good. But I think then you'd sort of like, as soon as you peak, you can either do that or you can go down. And I think what the worry for you would have been was that after Newcastle had gone down, your relevance would have been less, or people would have assumed your relevance would have been less because you're in a championship.
Loads of people were saying, tweeting me saying, once Newcastle get relegated,
you're nobody.
You're fucked. And I'm like, you severely underestimate what I'm doing here.
And I think then that's what I've really enjoyed with working with you, is that we've collaborated on a lot of these. So we've collaborated on the podcast. The podcast is not just you going to me, should we do something, and then me kind of like rocking up once a week and sort of being like, yeah, this is great, isn't it? That's been really good fun. I think we've collaborated on a few other videos for you. Like we spoke a lot about the Bri Vlogs thing, and obviously the Lost in Football stuff, and there's one other video, but I can't remember what. And we've always sort of run ideas past each other, which I think is a really good thing. And I think that's a huge part of what I enjoy about the industry and the filming idea of things as well, is there's a feeling sometimes you get with certain people, which you don't get with everyone. Sometimes it's actually a really unrewarding process working with certain people. And it's
not even necessarily people that you like all the time or anything.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to be best friends to have a creative connection with people.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like apparently the Beatles back in the day, not that I'm comparing us to them for Christ's sake, but they said that
Ringo.
John Lennon and Paul McCartney would often fall out with each other.
Yeah.
But when they were together, they made magic.
I still love the phrase about Ringo that John said. So they said, "What do you think? Do you think Ringo's a good drummer?" to John Lennon, and John Lennon said, "He's not even the best drummer in the Beatles." I was like, that shows a lot. Do you know what I mean?
He got lucky.
But that's what I find unusual, right? Is actually some of my favourite Beatles songs are written by Ringo. So there is Octopus's Garden, I think. Was Octopus's Garden written by Ringo? I think it was. Either that or George Harrison. No, it was Octopus's Garden by Ringo. And then the other one was written by George Harrison, which is Here Comes the Sun, which is just, I'd say it's, if not the best song of all time. It's emotionally, it's a really heavy song. I think it's something that not many other.
Get the guitar out again.
Don't get the guitar.
Yeah.
Put some drum and bass shit on that. I think it's a song that it's so simple and so brilliant, but at the same time it expresses so much at once. And it's about being in the studio with a fighting band and being able to see the end of the album and feeling like the sun's coming up.
I think one thing that I've learned about myself since becoming a YouTuber is one thing that I was unaware of but very frustrated by before I became a YouTuber was that I wasn't being creative at all in my life. So when I'm going to work as a deep sea diver, I get up in the morning, bang a 12-hour shift in, graft me fucking balls off, go home, a few beers, take away and fall asleep again. I'm literally, like, everything is mechanical and I wasn't being creative at all, and I always felt unfulfilled in my life, and I didn't know why, but since being creative in my everyday life, I felt just generally a bit happier and a bit more, like, as a kid at school, I felt stifled. I was like, I'm not, what the fuck am I even doing here half the time? Because I'm just here to remember it and regurgitate it and put it back on that piece of paper. And I think that there's probably a lot of people out there who felt the same way as I did, but didn't really realise why they weren't happy. And I think if more people out there were able to be creative and not just regurgitate shit and have to memorise the bollocks that school want them to memorise, we'd have just generally happier kids.
I think we just in general have happier kids. I think what some people do mistake for creativity is, so they mistake being a YouTuber for being creative. I'm not saying you're doing that. I'm saying there are a lot of people out there
I know exactly what you're saying.
They have this thing of, I want to be a YouTuber, therefore I want to be a creative person. And I think very often your creative process, or anyone's creative process, starts off by copying someone else's creative process, because essentially you need to learn from either your own mistakes or someone else's mistakes, and it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people get into YouTube, and very often you'll find their early videos are mimicking or sort of very similar. And so
for example, Joe Weller did a video called How to be KSI, and that was his first big video, for example.
Yeah, but the good thing about Joe is Joe's an incredibly observant person. I think that really helps.
He's very creative, to be fair.
I think from that...
But it's like Cal Frazee was on a few weeks ago, and he said, I'm not that creative of a guy,
sure,
but people like who I am. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Which is good.
Not a direct quote, but he was kind of saying that, you know what I mean?
I think also what I really enjoyed and what I worked out early was, if you can work out someone else's structure, you can work out how to add to it yourself. So what I had to do really early on was work out the way that Chris Moyles put his radio show together, and all the different elements and components which went into that, which were like jingles and beds underneath him talking and stabs into songs and sort of playing around with things. And I don't know, I think you do need someone to look up to, but the problem is that sometimes there are a lot of people now who only hold up Casey or only hold up one vlogger and then just want to be just like that person. That's fine.
There was a few people out there who were tweeting, asking, like, how do you get into YouTube or how to start a YouTube channel? And I remember when I started, you talking about looking up to people, there was 2 YouTube channels I used to watch, and literally I didn't really watch many others. One was Boogie2988, who, for anyone who doesn't know, is like a gaming YouTuber who just sits in front of his camera and gives you like gaming news and opinions. And he does like a character called Francis, who is like an extreme, like an Eric Cartman style character.
He's like an Asperger's type character.
He screams and he goes mental, and he's a bit of a comedian, like, in that sense. He puts on like an acting. And then there's also the Hodge twins, who I watched, who are like 2 gym guys who gave out advice on like relationships and shit, but it's like always extreme ways of dealing with the advice. But I remember thinking, like, what is it exactly? What is the thing that these guys are doing here. And ultimately, before they come on camera, they have in their head an emotion that they want you to feel, and they're going to make you feel that beforehand. And that is I just remember thinking, what is the basics here? What is the very basic of what they're doing? And it's making me feel something. And I think good YouTubers make you feel something when you watch a video, and bad YouTubers, with all due respect, I don't think that they have that thought of, what am I going to make you feel? Before they even switch the camera on, there isn't that thought in their head. They're just putting some information out. I want you to make me fucking feel something if I'm watching your video. Funny, sad, feel bad for you, whatever.
Inspired.
Something.
Yeah.
And that's every video I've ever made from that day on. I just want people to come away from one of my videos and think, I felt something.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that was basically it. And I imagine as a director, you want people to fucking feel something when they watch what you do.
I think there's also a really great quote from someone. I think it's a guy, like a social theorist called Marshall McLuhan, and he says something which I thought was really interesting. He said, I don't want you to believe me, and I don't want you to, essentially says, I don't want you to believe me, I just want you to think. And I think that's a really great way to approach filmmaking, because I think a lot of people think about my message is inherent. I've got to get my message out there. It's very important. And I think on YouTube, there's a real focus on it being about the one person who runs that channel. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, what's Casey's message? And that's why I sort of appreciated when he did the whole Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump thing, because it seemed like a very weird thing to do, but at the same time it's very clever in that sense.
When I tweeted him to ask him to be on the podcast, which obviously he probably gets a million tweets, even though we've got a good following, it's hard to get in touch with these people. If you want to retweet some of those tweets next time to help us out, that'll
give it a try.
Ideal. He got a lot of shit. They were calling him a shill. What is it? I don't even know what a shill means.
I think it sort of means it's
like a government tool or
essentially,
something.
a bit of a sellout in that sense. Like
they called him a sellout. A lot of people were calling him a sellout.
Which is weird, because actually it's almost the opposite of a YouTube sellout, because a YouTube sellout...
He's made a lot of money though from his...
He was already a millionaire before he came in. I mean, he sold his
Lucky
HBO
bastard.
series and sort of had the app and stuff. And now he is a multimillionaire. But... what was I sort of going? So it's not so much about the I don't care if you believe me, I just want you to think. And I think sometimes that's what I appreciate more, is when someone watches a video and goes, this is what I got from it.
Well, the thing is, one thing that's changed about me is when I started this YouTube channel, I didn't have anyone on here. Like I think we hit 300,000 subscribers before I had a single person on other than you when we did the charity commentary. And I was like quite protective over that. I was like, I don't really want to, I've fucking worked my arse off to get this fucking audience. Like, I don't really want to share it with every Tom, Dick and Harry. And then what's changed about me is like what you just said. It's not about your message. Like, it doesn't always have to be about my message and what I've got to say. I'm not really bothered anymore. Like, what I want to do is make them feel something. And if that's from Nick or JJ, KSI or anyone we have on, I just want them to get something out of it. Do you know what I mean? And that's why I'm quite selective over who we have on, because I want it to be... You're not always going to have the best interview ever, but I want it to be as good as it can be every time. Yeah,
and that's very clear now. Or at least it's becoming more clear.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
If anyone out there has any interesting guests for it, let we know.
Some people think they have interesting guests and they suggest them.
Yeah, the thing is,
they're not.
I'm trying to tell different stories than what we've told before. Like, that's kind of what I'm because someone was like, oh, do more like Nick Yaris. I'm like, well, if you know anyone who's been on death row and innocent for the last 20 odd years,
the only person
send them my way.
Nick surely knows some people.
But yeah, it's one of them, isn't it? Like, you're not going to get a Nick Yaris every time, but that's not what I'm trying to do. I just want to have... It's not always about them having a big audience or their own following. I just want interesting people who've done different things. And I'm contacting people who are just out of left field, that people are going to be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But then when they come on, they'll know, all right, we'll give them a chance. For Geordie.
Well, because essentially what it is it's like it's an unspoken contract that what essentially you're saying to your subscribers is, if you subscribe to me, I'll give you something that I find interesting, then therefore you will find interesting.
Well, that's what I'm trying to do, without a doubt.
Yeah. I mean, some weeks we fail. This week, you're disappointed. All right?
Sorry about that.
Sorry about that. You don't get a guess and you just sort of go...
game, man. I'm still a baby in this podcast game.
Essentially, yeah.
I am.
Yeah. But you've spoken words for years.
Someone nicknamed us Geordie Rogan the other day, and I got a bit...
Geordie Rogan.
As in, Geordie Rogan.
As in like Joe, yeah.
Got
I mean, the thing is with you have spoken words for years, so you're not new to speech.
No, definitely not. I'm getting better.
Yeah.
So in regards to directing, what would be, where do you want to take it from here in an ideal world?
For me, like it's documentaries. I mean, sort of, I think what YouTube lacks at the moment, and I think what a lot of people, what YouTube, there's a space on YouTube at the moment for stuff which is insightful, educational, and interesting. And I don't think there's any sort of like, what I love is public service broadcasting. I love the BBC. I love like NPR and all those guys in America. And I think they are telling you stories which maybe you didn't realize you wanted to hear in interesting ways, and taking you to a place where you feel you genuinely get something from it, or you feel like it's helping you to understand something. I think a lot of people are making content on YouTube now where it's like, look, just sit and watch this. And, you know, you're helping me get to, you know, another country, or watch me vlog, or watch me do this, or watch me do that. I think maybe the next step is to find a way of making something that's a bit more engaging and like sort of makes people question things.
So when you went to university and you were studying how to become a director, what was that like? Like, did you have a good teacher or bad teacher? What were the people like there?
Inspired me. We had really good tutors.
What were the other students like?
Some of them were really good, some of them were really bad.
In what way? Did you get on well with them? Did you have a laugh with them?
Got on well with everyone. Like, university for me was a pretty straightforward process.
Did you go out and drink with them much?
Yeah, quite a lot actually. Yeah, we go out and drink quite a lot. And like every Saturday, I go and watch football with friends, and sort of like in the bar or in the local pub, or you know, like anywhere. Like London, my incredible thing when I was 19, almost 20, was moving to London.
Yeah.
I'd lived in Burton, which is a little town, 100,000 people maybe.
It's weird because that is such a goal for so many people I meet in London. Like, they're all like, who've lived near London but not in London. They're like, I made it to London. Like, I live in London. And I'm always like, I'm just trying to get out of this place. I'm just trying to make it so that one day my podcast is that big, I can have it in Newcastle and every cunt has to come to me.
And that's partly what the BBC probably is aiming for, is to reach out to people like you with accents.
Thank you.
And so I moved to London, and it was just like every morning I remember waking up and just being like, I'm in London. This is just incredible.
So many people have that attitude.
Yeah. And you would wake up and just be like, this is incredible.
What about London is it? What's the magic?
It's a city. There's literally the possibility of going anywhere. When you go from a town where there's the possibility of going to Subway or going to Pizza Hut, and suddenly, and I'm not putting that down, you know what I really have grown to respect over the last few years is people who do want to stay in a place and build something there. But I never felt particularly at home in Burton. I always felt a little bit more like, wow, look at the possibilities here. Do you know what I mean? Look at the possibilities in London. Look at the possibilities out there in the world. And I wanted to go out and see those. And
what do you think about people who have a bit more of they just want to, you know, meet the person who they marry, settle down,
respect for that.
And do the 9 to 5.
I think in some ways, like what pushed me to come to London was a bit of not like an ego, but like a young thirst and ego for something, that I wanted to make something of myself. And it was also that I, like, you know, certain aspects of that I've worked out. Like I met my girlfriend in London, you know, I met all my friends.
Did you meet many girls at university? Was that a good experience?
I don't think I was like particularly a player. Like I remember having a lot of female friends at university, but I really also wasn't interested in...
I can vouch for you. You are, even when women like you're very selective. You don't just... See, there's times where, like, you know, men in your situation would have made more out of what they've got.
But
you've wasted a lot. I'm just putting that out there.
I think. Well, no, but I haven't wasted a lot, because actually my philosophy.
You friend zone a lot of women.
I friend zone every woman. I mean,
no, but like,
because it's like,
what I mean is, I know even if you weren't with a woman now, you'd still be friend zoning them, because I know what you're like. You wouldn't just bang every lass. Like, you're not that type of lad.
No, not at all. No, and that's why, like, as soon as I found, she likes.
You would have made a wicked wingman for me back in the day, because like I would have known that you would have just cast aside a lot of women, and I would have just been cleaning up.
Yeah.
Because as well as the ones who fall into my category, who like beasts, you know what I mean?
But that's the point, is that, and so then
I love them all.
When I met my girlfriend, and now we've been in a long-term relationship for quite a long time now.
Yeah, you have, haven't you?
And then I was like, right, I found someone I want to be with. Like, that's the person I want to be with. Bam, that's great. Let's date. Let's go.
Choose you.
Like that. Yeah, choose you.
Yeah.
So that was good. But then at university, I remember just being so incredibly outgoing and having so many friends and being like interested in other people's projects and like.
Do you know? I can imagine you going to like protests and shit when you were at uni.
I did go to a few protests. Yeah.
I can totally see.
Do you remember those ones where people threw that guy through the fire extinguisher off the top of the stuff? Like, I think a lot of
Can
people.
I ask what you protested for? Like, not taking the piss on it.
It was like pre-government changes for stuff, like kind of like the. I think the biggest thing at that time was the tuition fees going up. So we were against that.
I mean, fucking look after the money, innit?
Well, the thing was,
keep them down.
But they wouldn't have gone up for us. They would have gone up for the next generation. But
you had to stand up for them.
I don't want to. I don't see the point in paying $9,000 a year for what I got at my university. I don't think it would make any sense. And the thing is, I'd be much more inclined a year to say to someone, look, you want to get into media, take a loan and invest that in your own business.
I got chatting to a lad who's a big fan of the podcast on the train the day.
Really?
Doing a degree in sociology. Was a mint young lad.
Yeah.
He's like, I could tell he was hardcore because he come up and he was like, and he was shaking that and he had that. I'm a bit starstruck, but once he sat down, I feel daft when people say that about us. But yeah, he had a right good chat with him about university and all that. And there are a lot of lads in uni right now who listen to this. Would you give them any advice on how to treat their uni years? Just because like uni, my perception of uni is someone who didn't go. There's a kind of one of me regrets in life, to be honest.
You should. You could still go and do it now. You'd love it.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Just this big fucking meathead sat in the corner. That would be ideal.
One of the weird sort of late students.
No, I enjoy learning. It's just I never found anything that I was like, oh, I'd love to do a degree in that. Apparently they're handing out degrees in social media now, and I think I deserve something to that. Yep. Hand that over. I'll come and collect.
The thing is, you
give
probably,
me doctorate, you cunts.
You probably could do something on that course and be like, look, this is the practical side of this course. I can tell you how to do certain things.
Can I lecture? Could I do that? Could we make a video of me lecturing at university? That would be amazing.
I mean, the thing is, yeah, I wouldn't let you near young uni women, but I would.
Fuck me, that would be mint, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Fresh.
I don't think it would be a terrible idea.
Fresh.
What are you fresh about?
Fresh as.
What I do, if you're at university, I remember going to university and being like, right, this is how my course is going to be. I think there are people who go to university and go, what do? They sort of go, oh, it's going to be just like school. Give me all the work, I'll do the work, and then I hand it back to you. You tell me I'm doing it right, and then we do the other way. Other people take this life sort of idea and sort of go, right, you can give me some information, I'll work it out for myself, and then they go and they do something good. If you're at university, use this time to explore, because as soon as you leave, you've got so many responsibilities.
Explore
yourself.
No, but my take on university from everyone I've met is like, basically, you're doing fucking drugs and drinking alcohol until God knows what time, and you wake up at fucking 2 o'clock, oh, I've got a lecture, drag yourselves into uni, barely listen for 2 hours, and then once assignment time comes around, then you start concentrating a bit, and just live like a rock star for 3 years, basically.
Your focus is more on the lifestyle of it. I think there is a little bit more focus on academia depending on where you go.
Yeah.
Like being academic for me I really enjoyed that side. I really enjoyed reading and exploring and doing all those sorts of things and watching videos and working things out.
Yeah.
The structure of stuff. And we also had quite a good practical
Women
course.
are very promiscuous in those years. Somewhat, from what I've heard.
This is all you think about when you go to uni is fucking and drinking.
Yeah. Well, no, because one of my mates was at uni and he was like, will you come out with the uni lot? And I remember being like, oh, yeah, right, I'll come out. And then when I went there, I was like, ooh, I really stick out like a sore thumb here. I nearly got into a fight in the first bar and all sorts.
What are you studying?
Yeah, I nearly got into a fight in the first bar and the girls could tell I wasn't the university guy. But
that makes you a little bit like dangerous.
That was good, yeah, it was good. I was in. But I'm just saying I wish I had more nights out like that.
It's unfortunate. I can direct you to the right parts of London if that's what you want.
Tonight, let's do it. The world is our oyster. Anyway, so how did you end up after getting your degree and all that in the world of YouTube?
Great question, Brian. In my early years after university, first year of university, a friend of mine at the time said we should go on a road trip across America and follow a football tournament over there.
Yeah, sounds good.
And so we went on this road trip, and it was a fucking good road trip.
Me and you should do the same shit this summer.
Actually, we probably could because it's the Gold Cup. So the Gold Cup this summer.
This is our idea. If anyone else does it, you can get fucked.
I think some other people have done it after, but
who gives a
Kick
fuck?
TV did it.
No, but let's be honest though. There's quality, and then there's what we're going to bring.
Yeah. So
the heat.
So there is.
Fire.
So we went and did that, and then the very last place, I got to Miami. We went from LA to Ohio to Miami. And then when we got to Miami, there was
What was it like?
Amazing.
Well, yeah, but describe it for them.
Okay, so what it was two guys on the road who were fresh-faced out of university and looking to get some practical experience in media. So, God, what a premise for a movie.
Two fresh-faced guys looking for some practical experience in media. This is how me and you are so different. Can you imagine me on the road in America?
Just you.
I wouldn't be looking for some practical experience in media. No, thank you. I'd be looking for some of those lasses in the rap videos.
Sure.
Preferably.
You will find those wherever you go.
Bounce it on us.
Yeah. And so we drove across America. We had a great time. We just listened to like hours and hours of hip hop along the way, and like, you know, we're discussing life and all those sort of things. And then it was amazing. Like I saw the landscape of America. We saw like the mountains and the very long fields going through Kansas and
Did you drink
the cities. We were quite tired on the trip, but we did go out and drink. We went out in Miami and drank. We went out in LA and drank. We didn't really do so much in Ohio because we weren't there very long. But then there are a few places we just sort of like got out for dinner and.
So how did you end up in the media?
It's a rude way of moving things on. What you basically look for is there any story where you drank or had sex?
No, I'm just looking for the juicy bits. Do you know
the juicy bits are I arrived in Miami and it was a good trip. And then we'd been let in by the football team because the football team basically realised these guys are driving to these places while we're flying, and it's hard enough when we fly, let alone drive. So drove into Miami, and then I ended up having an argument with someone in the press box because he was saying, I don't think that the 3G pitch is very good. Players want grass. And I sort of said, he said, no, the players don't mind the 3G pitch. We had this argument, and he said, you should come on my blog. So I went on his podcast, and then for the next year, I did the podcast. And then out of nowhere, I got this email from the guy who lives in America saying Adidas want people to go to an event in the UK to go and try out the new Predator boots. And they were relaunching the Predator. And I went to this event and I was in the same room as all these guys who had like 1 million followers on their blogs and stuff. It was like the original YouTubers and Twitter guys. And these people sitting in this room had sold their blogs for like 3 million, 2 million for a blog. They didn't have videos. They just wrote articles, and a lot of people went to the website, and it was seen as a thing. And then there was me in the room who's got like 0 followers, and I'm on one of these big blogs. And Adidas were like, "You're good. You should come to more events." So we did go to more events, and over time we just found more and more that we were getting more and more jobs. So like Nike reached out to us, but Adidas were like the main people who we started to get lots and lots of contacts and content through. And then YouTube came along, and it was like, oh, well, this is perfect. Lawrence can do the videos, because I'd already done videos while going across America. And I just sort of fell into it because it was like, well, this is easy and it's paying. And so I was going and interviewing like journalists and footballers and all sorts of things. And then in 2012, Adidas came to me and were like, you should come for a month with us to go to the Euros. And we basically went with the Adidas guys for a month to the Euros. And when I got there, they put a list of the games in front of me and went, tick which games you want to go to. And I
That's like living the fucking dream then.
I basically went down that list and ticked every match, like every match, no, even if they were playing at the same time. So I ticked everything. And then I remember like 2 or 3 days into the tournament, I woke up and Rob, who was running Adidas, I think he is still part of the global Adidas team, was like, oh, you need to wake up, mate. You've got a plane to be on. And I was like, why? Where am I going? And so I went to the airport, got to the airport, and I was on like basically a chartered jet with the guy who runs Chelsea, I can't remember what his name was, and his son, and one other guy who was like a CEO of Adidas. And it was just us on the plane. I remember being like, fucking made it. Like, this is the place to be. This is the best job ever. And we saw both semi-finals, all the quarterfinals, and the final, and everything.
It's mad how chance just puts you in places at the right place at the right time, then.
Because I was the only person who was doing it at that time. Yeah. And now it's like...
By default, really.
And the funny thing is, yeah, almost. Yeah, literally, I remember being like...
There's a lot of YouTubers now with a lot of subscribers because they were the first guys to the party.
And I was the first guy to that party.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was
should have set up a YouTube channel, you daft cunt.
Genuinely. Yeah. But then
I'd be on your show and it would be a lot better for me.
What happened
sponging off you.
No, what happened after that was I was then considered by a lot of people to be like this sort of bridge between the blog world and the TV world. So TV guys would come to us and be like, what should we do? Like, you're a hipster blogger, what should you do? And so I started to get loads of work. And then Ball Street, the first ever video that Ball Street shot, I shot and edited that video.
And you also work with Copa and all these other companies.
And I think I edited the first sets of videos at Copper 90 as well.
And KSI and stuff like that.
KSI at Copper 90 was completely my series. Like, I edited all of that.
Well done, mate. Well, I'm proud you made it.
And then we met, and then Adam Boltwood and I met on the set of Football Daily, and then he went to do Football Republic.
Boltwood sort of got me involved in his stuff, and then me and you met through him.
Skyped.
Probably going to have him on the show at some point. The bastard.
Yeah. He's good. And now he works for Spencer, so he is interesting.
I mean, let's be honest. Bit of a dream team, the lot of weren't behind the scenes.
Boltwood is a dreamer. Boltwood's a dream to work with. Dave O'Brien, do you know Dave O'Brien?
Never heard of him.
Yeah, Statman Dave. And then
who?
Statman Dave.
Forget it.
And then there's also this guy called Kristen, who's a journalist.
Yeah, he's all right. Anyway, I think that's your story told, mate.
Do you think?
Yeah, I think we could have gone in more.
You skirted over a little bit.
Yeah, there's certain things I don't want to delve too deep into.
Like what?
We leave them for future pod. We don't want to tell them everything.
What you want is like to lay out the rough structure and then people ask more questions.
We'll fill more in later. Yeah. We'll resume it because there's a lot of stuff that we haven't told about both our lives.
How many people do you think early on went, this podcast, don't title it anything to do with me because otherwise people will turn off early.
Just as I've got faith in them.
People will log in below and go, for
fuck's sake. No, but the thing is, I've got faith in them because you are interesting to these people. Trust us.
And if you do that, that makes you interesting.
Tony Blair used to do that all the time. So we've got emails.
Oh yeah, totally. There's some great emails.
We haven't done them in ages either.
truegproblems@gmail.com is the email to email if you want your emails answered and your problems solved.
I've had one message to me on Twitter as well. I might bring that out at the end.
Okay, great. This first one's called Problems.
I mean, that's the general idea.
I'm joking. This first one is called Flowers. Before I start, I would enjoy if you would refer to me as Hassan. Hi there, Geordie, guest, and Lawrence. No guest this week.
Can we call him Hass, just to make life easier?
My name is... Oh, wait a minute.
Just because he's asked us to call him Hassan, let's not do that.
Hi, my name is Hassan. I'm 16 years old and I am in third year in high school. I currently reside in the Philippines and attend an all-boys school. In all honesty, I haven't got that much experience with females.
It's fucking mental how far this podcast goes, isn't it?
Yeah, I know.
It is mental, that.
Imagine all the pigeons that have to fly all the copies of the podcast out to the Philippines.
I know how the internet works, but it is mental. Anyway, he's 16, he's in high school. Get on with it.
In all honesty, I haven't got that much experience with females and so was shocked when I found out a girl I'm into was also into me. Now, this female, refer to her as Trisha. I couldn't think of a more romantic name. Is quite a popular girl and is known for being a libog. Libog. Have you ever heard of that before?
No.
Libog? Or basically a slut.
Is that what it means?
Yeah, he has put that. We've talked quite a lot and she has invited me for some games. I think she might want to get it on with me as she sent me a message reading, I'm good at handling stiff joysticks. Maybe she is actually just referring to the Pro Xbox controller, which you can now
upgrade. It can get a bit tricky.
Now, this came as quite a shock to me, as seeing as I'm only 16, which is legal in our country. Here lies the problem. I have absolutely no intention of having sex in high school because I'm quite the philosopher. I'm not joking. That's what the sentence says. I have absolutely no intention of having sex in high school because I'm quite the philosopher.
Well, philosophers don't fuck, do they not?
I don't think they do. So I'm not joking. That's so funny that people think I'm smart, therefore no sex.
Yeah.
Although there is something inherent
famously celibate.
Oh, what? I thought he had sex with Marilyn Monroe. For some reason, I've got it in my head that Einstein had sex with Marilyn Monroe.
I don't think so. That was JFK.
Yeah. Weren't they the same? I believe that by agreeing to have sex, I agree to uphold any and every possible consequence, including having a child. Wow. Being in the Philippines, we have no abortion, right? And I don't think I can accept the risks involved in having my first sexual experience in high school. I don't really want to have a kid at my age and have always said that I'd reserve sex for college, even though you're quite the philosopher. Now, the hard part...
You're going to college now. You can have sex.
Yeah, fuck all you want. You've done all that time in high school. Now, the hard part gets here because Trisha is incredibly hot and like a certified 10. But I've explained I don't know if I should do it. There's many more reasons why I'm skeptical about proceeding with this because, for one, I know that she's already been deflowered. Wow. Why would that stop you? This comes as a threat to me, right? Because I have zero experience in sex and I have no idea about who did her last. Wow, this guy is just putting it all out there.
He's so strange, isn't he?
I'm quite conscious of my body and I'm probably about a 5 for most girls like her. And I don't know if my penis is a sufficient size. This guy's writing from an alien perspective from another planet. Is my penis of sufficient size? This is because I have quite a small penis in comparison to the average white man.
Oh, God.
Being in Asia, I have quite an average size penis. Right. I have no idea how to get it on in bed, but I can confidently say I can last quite long. I will admit that I can jack off straight for about 20 minutes without spilling my juice. So here it is. Should I or should I not have sex with Trisha? And if it is a yes, how should I proceed? I plan on going in like a jackhammer. But it being as my first time experience, should I be more passionate? Below is a picture of Trisha. He did put a picture of Trisha below.
Can I see?
Yeah, sure. I think I've got a... let me find it. It'll be quite evident that it's... There you go. This is Trisha.
Yeah, is that her, is it?
Yeah. And she's got the caption, back at it again.
Hey, I'm not kidding, like, she is a pretty girl, like, to be fair to him.
Okay, I mean, she's 16, so...
No, I'm just saying pretty. I never said I wanted to do anything to her.
Sure.
She's legal, but I'm not even...
In
all
England.
right. Just
Sure.
before you fucking label us a fucking nonce.
Again.
I mean, if he's terrified...
I mean, he is a philosopher, first of all.
Work your way
I don't
up
want
to
you to
him,
lose that.
Mr. Philosopher.
Yeah.
With a small cock. Yeah? Let her suck you off, mate.
I sort of thought that. I sort of thought there's other
just
stuff
let her
you
wank
do.
you off or something. Suck you off. If you're gagging for it and you don't want to go the whole hog, let her wank you off.
So you're saying...
Give it a suck.
So you're saying just... I would say take her out on a date, see what she says, see how forward she is.
Gauge it.
And gauge it. You don't seem to have had that much contact with her, but she is sending you pictures and stuff, so... You know.
I mean, at the end of the day...
He is a philosopher, though, so...
Mate, just... Yeah, and if you do fuck her in the first time round, don't go in, quote-unquote, like a jackhammer. No. If you've got a small cock, you're not jackhammering nothing, mate, unfortunately for you.
Well, I mean, you could be, sort of a small hammer.
Yeah, just tap.
Yeah.
Just take your time.
If she says,
warm her up a little bit, for fuck's sake, as well, because women are always better. They're more receptive to that if you want to make an effort.
What you're saying is try and make it a pleasurable sexual experience.
Well, yeah, because if you want to do it a few more times, then you want to make sure that she enjoys it a bit.
What I would say is, through this email, you can tell you've not had sex.
Oh, very much so.
And that's a good thing.
I mean, it's... Yeah.
Being of an age and being of a time...
The way he analyses it sounds like he's...
Quite the philosopher.
No, it sounds like he's sort of pricing a job up. Do you know what I mean? He's like, I'm going to need... Like, if he's painting a room, do you know what I mean? He's like, I'm going to need some...
We're going to need...
Yeah, and I'm going to need extra paint for that wall.
Not going to do itself.
We need a long roller to reach that ceiling as well, because that's...
We're going to need some white penises to be able to paint that wall.
He just doesn't look at life the way I do. He really is...
he's quite analytic. He's quite the philosopher in many ways.
I mean, he wasn't lying.
No.
So,
he's philosophical. I don't think that means he's a philosopher.
Best to look at me. I can't even advise this cunt, to be honest. Just crack
PPE,
on.
Yeah.
Give her a bit of fucking foreplay if you do go there.
Sure. I mean, what I would say is take your time.
Roll out the
Wait till
carpet.
college. Wait till college. Yeah.
I think he needs someone who understands what a weird little cunt he is.
And maybe she does. Maybe that's why she likes him.
Yeah.
Maybe she likes his quirky ways.
Yeah. There's some lads I know who were some of my pals, and I think I'd gotten the idea how the women actually take to them. Weird.
Sure. Is that passive or?
No,
Okay.
I just genuinely mean some of my mates. I just think I don't know how women do it with them.
Yeah.
Such a weird fuckers.
And in many ways, at that point, you almost think natural selection should sort of step in, but it doesn't.
It doesn't. No, mate.
The modern world, anyone can have kids.
Sometimes the worst people who are just the most virile.
Yeah.
I'm one of
That
them.
should be on your gravestone. Hey, Geordie and guest. Lawrence, stop complaining. Spelt Laurens. 3 months ago, I got my first Michelin star. I'm 36 and I live in Israel. My restaurant name is Petite, by the way. I love cooking, as most chefs call it. But after I got my star, I felt like I had no goal. My Michelin star was all I wanted for 15 years. I left the army wishing it. What do you think I should do? You too, Lawrence. He's got his Michelin star now.
This is such a weird question. I never thought I'd ever be asked this.
Yeah, but he's got a Michelin star.
Has he really, though?
Probably not.
I love cooking.
Yeah.
I mean, he sounds like me. I remember when I went to school and I did food technology for a day before you could opt out of it. And I come back to me mum and I went, Mum, I've been cooking.
Yeah.
She went, oh, like looking at me little stupid face thinking, God, what the hell's he been doing now?
Yeah.
She goes, what have you been cooking? I went, coleslaw.
Yeah.
That's genuinely the answer.
And he was 18 at that point.
Yeah, no, it was 11, but yeah.
I opted in
that
for
was
the
me
cooking.
cooking.
Yeah, I opted in for the cooking. I mean,
I
tiramisu.
opted out.
What's your next goal?
How the fuck do I know, mate?
I mean,
fuck
the thing
off.
is, right, if you've got one Michelin star,
with those questions.
try another Michelin star.
Yeah, you can get a few of them bastards, can't
Yeah. I don't understand. If you're a real cook, which I think they call themselves, then you'll cook until you have 2 stars.
you? What's that bastard who owns all that property in London called? Who's
Gordon Ramsay.
no, the other cunt.
Jamie Oliver.
I went to one of Jamie Oliver's restaurants the other day.
Yeah, they're not Michelin stars.
Yeah, it was. Well, I heard that this cunt's the fucking dog's bollocks. Apparently, I'm sitting down. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Honestly, absolute dog shit that was serving up in that place.
Wasting my time on this.
Anyway,
Thanks again, Jamie, for putting your name on a restaurant.
yeah, selling out.
Why don't you go to your local farmer's market? Yeah, great. Have you also got that deal with Sainsbury's, mate?
Yeah.
Anyway, this next one's called Snake. Hi, lads. So there's this girl I really like, and I think she might like me back. Problem is, she's my ex's best friend. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And one of my best mates also likes her, and she knows that. But to be honest, he's not very gifted when it comes to looks. Wow. But you are. So she doesn't like him back. She openly tells people that. I love the idea of this girl standing next to me going, I don't like him back.
Just so everyone knows.
Just so everyone's aware.
Just so we're clear.
Yeah. They're sitting at a restaurant table. The person comes over to take their order. I just want you to know I don't like him back. Anyway, I'll have the coleslaw, the Geordie coleslaw, followed by the chicken wings.
Imagine a restaurant owned by me, Geordie's coleslaw. Do you know what, shit you not, right? I used to go out with one of my mate's sisters back in the day, right? And she was like, oh yeah, if you imagine a typical Geordie lass, right? Bleach, blonde, fake eyelashes, the lot, right? Got a fake tan on and everything.
Did that attract you?
No, but she was a genuinely good lass. She was I had a good crack with her and that, and she was funny. And she goes, oh yeah, I'm thinking about going for a bank loan. And I'm like, at this point, I'm working offshore and I'm earning decent money and that. And I'm like, what for? Like,
just come to me,
she's
darling.
like, I want to start my own business, and that me and my best mate. Now our best mate was like, I can't remember her name, but Chantel. It was something like that, right? And I'm like, you and Chantel want to start a business, all right? She was like, yeah, we're going to open a bar and call it Geordie's. And I'm like, she goes, we're going to have all the girls in black and white shirts and all that. And I'm like, oh yeah. And I'm like, do you realise to open a bar, you're going to need a lot of money? And she was like, oh, me and Chantal can be very persuasive when we want to be. You're not going to give the bank manager a blowjob and get 100 grand out of him. You fucking mad cunt.
Turns out now she runs Frankie and Benny's, one of the most successful Italian restaurants in Britain.
Oh, honestly, mate, some of the shit people come out with.
Yeah.
So anyway, I don't know where I was going with that.
That was the best blowjob ever. Anyway, let's look at this business plan. You guys it just doesn't make any sense.
She's literally saying like the Scarface music, push it to the limit. And she's like opening up businesses and there's the money going. And she's like opening up another Geordie's like cutting the scissors, and there's another one with all the girls in there with their black and white shirts on. Geordie's everywhere. It's gone global now, taking over America.
It's not only Northeast viral.
It's gone viral.
So what do I do? My name can be anything you want it to be. Cheers, lads.
So so his ex-girlfriend's best friend, he's interested.
He's interested in her, but she's also dating, or his mate is interested in this same person.
Wait, how good a mate is he? Clear, that's a big deal, because if it's like best mates or in your circle of friends, you just stay the fuck away from
Good
her.
point.
You don't want to get involved with her. Let him do, let's see where the land lies with that. Just let that go.
Yeah.
If you're not that good of friends with him, then maybe send her a DM, something like that, and see what's going on. But if you're proper mates with them, you just keep the fuck away.
Plenty more fish in the sea is what you're saying.
I've had a private message of a fella.
Okay.
With a problem. And
I've got some more good ones after yours.
All right, I want to do mine because I don't usually get to do these because all the emails go through Lawrence, just so everyone.
Lawrence.
All right. I said the more details we get, the better. So he sent quite a lot.
Wow.
So we've been going out together since the summer of 2014. He was homeless, and then he put in brackets, she wasn't. Okay. Well, when I'm homeless, I definitely prefer to have a girlfriend who's got a home.
Yeah.
Ideal.
It's a bed at least 2 nights a week.
We fell in love with each other, used to go out, cinemas, all that good stuff. Never any problems. Had each other's social media passwords. Doesn't seem necessary, but obviously...
if you've got nothing to hide.
We never used to go on them. Still, everything's going fine. Fell in love more. I got into some trouble. Someone nearly stabbed me. I don't know how you can nearly stab. I guess they tried to stab him, missed them by a millimetre.
Or a metre.
So his auntie said we can move in the, up her Wales. I imagine that's in Wales. We went up there.
We can move up her Wales.
Up her Wales.
I know, she's forward.
I don't know if this is like Pinocchio when he lives inside a whale. Went up there to live with her and her boyfriend. That was in September. Fell in love even more. He said fell in love a few times, yeah, so I'm guessing they're very much in love.
Deeper and deeper in love.
Had loads of fun together, spent loads of time together. All right, we get it. Yeah. Really happy. Filled the house with furniture.
It's just a story at the He filled the house with furniture. Fuck off.
I mean, when you've been homeless, that's a pretty big deal. To be fair.
No, good point, yeah.
Dapper Laughs can tell we all about the homeless.
Yeah.
He told her last week. And things started to decline. Basically, once they got settled, wasn't really romantic, wasn't just having sex for the sake of it, never really went out. And basically, first things where I started to get suspicious is where my really good girl mate that I've known for ages said that her mum's seen her and her sister at a party with boys all up on them. So his girlfriends went out and she's been clocked at a party with boys. Them two had a massive argument and I obviously sided with my girlfriend. Maybe a girl mate was trying to do you a favour. A week or so later, I was taking a shit and I was scrolling through didn't need to put that in there, scrolling through Snapchat, and I see messages between her and a boy, like sexual messages. But the thing is, she doesn't go out anywhere together and each other's company all the time.
Maybe it's role play.
But anyway, God, he's found more sexual messages and she'd promised that she wouldn't, and I've kicked her out the house now, and I've got to move back to my auntie's, but I miss her.
He made her homeless.
I've missed her and I don't know what to do. So basically, she's been sexting and she's been to parties with boys and she's been caught out. Lawrence, what does he do?
This is a great question. I think he needs to move on. Yeah. She's been sexting another guy. It's very clear at this point. I think when trust is broken like that, it's very difficult to retrieve a relationship from that point. So just move on.
To be honest, and I know this is sexist, but I kind of, when men do it, and I don't mean when men fuck women.
Right.
I think there's a line, but
You sure?
When men sex women, it's sort of a little bit like, sometimes as a bloke, you'll be about to have a wank and you're not really thinking straight, and you do things that maybe you wouldn't do if you'd had a wank and you were clear of mind. Sometimes,
wow, that's an interesting point. Yeah.
No, like for men, sometimes sex in a woman is like a version of porn. We don't actually want to go and fuck them. We're just sort of wanting someone to actually talk back to us for a change and feed into that.
Why? But then surely if you have a good partner, or you have a good relationship with that partner, then
no,
that will
but
happen.
it's like anything. Like, don't get it. Oh, why go out for burgers when you can have steak at home? Sometimes you get bored of steak. Sometimes steak becomes a bit too steaky, and sometimes you fancy a good old fashioned, juicy, greasy cheeseburger with fries and extra ketchup and all of that.
So it does sound a bit like you're sort of excusing.
I'm not excusing it. I'm saying I can kind of understand how, providing you don't actually think about going through with it. Usually with a man, if he's just sexting, it's almost like a version of porn in his head. Whereas with women, because women aren't as sexually driven as men are, on the whole, usually there's a bigger reason for it with women. If a woman's doing it, I'm a bit more shocked by it than I am with a bloke.
I think to some extent it's just more normalised that these things are the way they are. So I see what you're saying.
So for example, if a man, he's getting a bit horny, he's sexing a girl, he strokes one out, he fucking comes, and then he looks at his phone, deletes the messages, and then doesn't think about it for the rest of the day. That can happen. I mean, obviously I've done that. Yeah. But for fuck's sake. But with women aren't just going to have rub one out and then not think about the guy. Like, women are more emotionally attached to sex than what men are. Right. So it's very unusual that a woman would just close her phone and not text the guy after rubbing one out. There's usually more to it, in my opinion, when a woman does it.
I mean, I think it's a case-by-case basis. The bottom line is that maybe...
I'm generalising, obviously.
But generally also, if you have a reason to go to someone else in the relationship, then it probably shows that you're if your goal is a monogamous relationship and you feel like you have to go with someone else, then it's probably showing there's issues in your other relationship. You're taking a choice, which is to essentially not address those issues and to go down the other route of essentially trying to start a new relationship. A tidy way to do it would be break one off and go on to the next one. But that's not always possible because maybe you're living with a person, maybe you're married with them. I'm not saying that's what I would do, but I would say what he needs to do now, and a good piece of advice is move on from this person, because it's clear she doesn't want to be in a relationship with you. And now, even though you maybe think you want to be in a relationship with her, the fact is I think maybe what you want is a relationship.
All right.
Not that relationship, just any relationship.
Do you want to do one more, dude?
Yeah, I've kind of got... let me just check.
Is there a funny one?
Edinburgh. Yeah, this one's good. It's called After a Breakup. I won't bore you with compliments. Good. Although it does help.
Good, because I'm fucking sick of them.
I'll just get straight to it. I love it when someone does that. I won't bore you with compliments. I'll just get straight to it. Okay, so I'm in year 10. You can give me a name of your choosing.
Callum.
Cool. Good. And me and my girlfriend recently broke up. I'm okay with this.
So you'll be about 15, 14 if he's in year 10.
As it was more hassle to have a girlfriend than not. But really liked her. The problem is she's in all my classes, so I see her all the time and she's been acting happily and flirting with boys. I know that she took the breakup hard. Clearly, she's flirting with other men now and looks happy. Is still hurt by it. Clearly, she's flirting with other men.
But maybe that's why she's doing all that.
She might be doing it, yeah. Yet she continues to act like this. Another thing is, the boys she's flirting with are some mates of mine. Maybe assess that. They're loving it, but I don't know if they actually like her or they just want to be with her as a friend. My question is, how do I act when they do this? And how do I move on? Ba-bam. How?
Well, if he's genuinely fucking done with her, you got to let it go, mate. Doesn't matter what she does, whether she's flirting with boys, whatever she's doing, you need to not concern yourself with that anymore.
The best way you can act right now is to be the bigger man. Move on and be the person who sort of goes...
Be aloof.
Yeah, just be cool.
Be like the wind.
Yeah. What?
Be like a leaf blowing in the wind.
Right. A leaf or a leaf.
However things go, just...
Sure. Be water.
Be like water.
Be like water. Be like fire.
Bruce Lee said it best.
Warm those around you. Be like warm.
If lads are flirting with your ex-girlfriend in front of you, they're not your mates.
Yeah.
Just the news flash. Definitely not.
The point is also they're 15, and some of these guys aren't going to know the lines of boundaries of friendship.
But you let them know, and if they keep doing it, then they're obviously wanting to fuck her, and they don't give a fuck about you.
So all you need to do, this is a very sort of general scenario, and I think it's quite easy. So when you see a guy flirting and you know the guy and he's supposed to be a friend of yours and you'll see them flirting and you'll just sort of, you'll wonder, oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. Sorry, can we just have a quick, you fucking talk to her again, I'll smash your face in. Yes.
That's actually what I was going to say, so it's kind of stolen.
It's funny you say that, Gary. Actually, we should chat to her again anyway. Yeah, cool. Okay, great. No, well, I'll see you around, mate. Yeah, cool. Great, yeah. And then you just wander away, just sort of cool
My
as shit.
first school fight was over a girl.
Yeah.
When I was 8 years old. I had a girlfriend, and I found out one of my friends had kissed her or whatever, or something like that. And
Your honour.
Literally belted him so hard in the nose, and his fucking nose was just flattened. Fucking blood all over me knuckles and that. I'm an 8-year-old. I don't look like this at 8 years. I didn't hit an 8-year-old as I am now.
Were you quick as a child?
I wasn't slow. I was quite slender though as a kid. Like, people would be surprised. I was like tall and broad, but there was nothing on us.
Yeah.
You could see me rib cage. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Unlike now.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
So the headmaster drags us there and he's like, "No, you apologise to that boy right now." And I was, "Sorry, mate."
And you're standing there going, "Yeah, apologise to me. You had to go on that girl." You're standing going, "Well,
yeah, that's sometimes the best bet." But yeah,
I'm
if
as quick as a child.
just
Not
let it
strong,
go.
but quick.
Just let it go.
Yeah. And although if you're in the same class, just try and be the bigger guy is what I'd say. Always keep that in your mind. Be the bigger person. Focus on your studies.
All right. And enjoy yourself. If you've enjoyed this podcast,
Which you won't have.
make sure you hit the like button, and also let us know in the comments below some non-YouTube guests we could get on, because everyone suggests the YouTubers, and that's good. We've had loads, but I do want to expand, broaden my horizons. I want to learn things.
From anywhere as well.
Exactly. Anyway, any weird random things, let us know. Don't forget to stay subscribed. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.